Going live. Hello, family. How are you this week? Power up the sex bots indeed. Brian Hurley, Fish, Patrick, I was almost said Patrick Pecker there. Basil Fawlty, Bill Kelly, Rob Farrell, William Brown. You're all in for tonight. What is the spray of the day? Francisco Lima. Hold on. What's this advert? POE Manufacturing, China PCB and Make. That's very convincing. Yes, we use other services. Thank you. Um, so yes, indeed. Sprays. I've run out of aerosols. I've shopped left, right, and centre and not found a source of new aerosols. So we're just going to have to use existing ones. Let's see how the compression goes with this because, as you may notice, the chaos panels are multiplying. I'm not sure it's going to see this because of your videos. You showed me interest about electronics, now I'm interested in becoming an electrician. Thank you, Chase Wakeman. Indeed, Chase Wakeman, see if you can get an apprenticeship. That's always a good thing. Colored LED panel. There is a colored LED panel, but can you spot what makes it a bit special? I'll move my head. The two ones on the right, can you tell me what sort of LEDs are in them? Is the question. See if you can work it out. But first of all, let's sanitize. See, I'm totally on the ball this time. I'm probably not in the ball. Actually, Jägermeister first. Did you dye this shirt? The shirt is Mike's shirt. As you see, Scruff Dog sent me a shirt. I shall read the message he sent in a moment. So here is your ultraviolet sanitization. Your sanitization is occurring right now. I shall sanitize myself. Super sanitary, super ultra hyper sanitary Blackbeard Clive. Excellent. This will be coming into use later as well. Pow. Ultraviolet. That'd make an interesting contrast to the green, wouldn't it? The violet and green. Oh, I wonder how that would work with LEDs. Green's Cloud, Dark and Stormy at the ready. The Dark and Stormy is on hand, made with white rum, but before I do that, I really should have Jaeger Communion. I did look out the communion glasses, but they don't fit. It's going to have to be I call them disposable ones. While I was looking at the listings for these disposable communion glasses, I found a question that said, are these biodegradable? Because my church is environmentally friendly, and I was thinking, I think I said this before, well, don't buy disposable glasses then. I bet they don't get to drink Jägermeister. Communion should be Jägermeister. Maybe in dark churches it is. So the shirt. To Mr. Big Clive. Hi Clive, hey fans of reading this on here. Here is a genuine American work shirt. This is one of 7 shirts I've cycled through for the past 11 years. Ugh. As an industrial technician, this shirt has seen forklifts, top loaders, pallet jacks, big trucks, earth movers, carpet machines, house power disconnect installs, all kinds of work. By the time you get this, it will kind of be a collector's item, as the company I work for is selling to another, where I will be in a management now. Where I'll be in management now. No worries. I told the regional manager there's no way they can keep me from getting dirty and helping out my techs. Enjoy the shirt. Thanks for the great content. Thanks for getting me back into my passion for electronics. And that's Scruff Dog. He's always in the same club as the Stoner Squad as well. Hashtag BigClive.com. Hashtag Stoner Squad. So the shirt fits perfectly, thank you very much. It is a XXL and that is what fits. And I had to put on a light coloured shirt underneath it so the beard is visible. Otherwise it just goes black, transition to black. Minky Mooty, what happened to Mike? I had to kill Mike to get the shirt. That's the only way I could get it. Furbear Nose Scruff Dog. Pork Horn. I'm not sure what that means. Clive, you are a big daddy bear. I'm feeling awkward now. Hope the yobs won't come and spoil it tonight. I've locked the front door. They're not getting in. Simple Electronics says, help, I've become a Philips Hue addict. Well, let's see how long that lasts when your Philip Hue lamps start failing left, right, and centre. Quite a few people have sent me them. I really should investigate one. And a lot of people say, I've just had one fail. Do you want me to send it? And I'm like, I've got some here, thank you. They seem to fail quite regularly. Ultimately, um, I guess that the lamps have so much circuitry in them, the power supply and the little Wi-Fi module. No Manx Hooligan's rusty butt plate, butt patty, butt plate. I thought it said rusty butt plate. But there will be further MBC videos in the future. Newer generations are fine. Well, that's not so bad. They've refined it. 'Cause certainly, a lot of the earlier ones, they tried to squeeze too much circuitry in. And it just, there are people in saying, should I bypass my light switch and just plaster it up because I don't need it anymore because the lamps are electronic? And I would highly recommend against that. Keep the light switches. Oh, right, okay. Not had any Who lamps fail yet, says Crash. Okay. The Philips Hue I had overheated. I don't think you could really use them inside enclosures. The usual rules for lamps that apply. I've got the IKEA Legos and they're great. There is that other thing that, certainly in the first ones, if you threw a lamp out, a Wi-Fi lamp after it had failed, you were basically throwing your password out with it because, you know, if depending how it's stored in the memory, some of them use an external memory chip and it didn't seem to encrypt it. Any orange, there's yellow. And this is kind of, well, this is yellow. This is kind of orangey-ish, but it's kind of yellowish as well. It's not really true orange. We don't have light switch, our only sensor can be really annoying at times. That is annoying when you've got lights that are just going off themselves, particularly when they've not been set correctly. When they did the local Key Fitness, when they moved into a large sort of warehouse area, initially there was no emergency lighting in the changing room, and the lights in the room had a sensor above the door with a very short delay time. And if you went in for a shower and nobody came in during the time that you were having your shower in the shower cubicle, the lights would go out and it was absolutely pitch black. The day I came in with my screwdriver to adjust that, I looked up and someone had already adjusted it. We do need more orange, but you know, we can work on that. Matt Tester, PIR in toilets and you're having a relaxing poop. You get your magazine, you're reading your magazine, you pop the pages open, you're just browsing away and suddenly it's pitch black and they don't always detect your movement in the toilet cubicle. You have to like try and sort of in the pitch black without getting too much creamage between your cheeks, wave your hand about to actually try and get the light to come back on again. Bjorn, nobody came in during my shower. The shower rooms, they've just got a couple of shower cubicles. It's a bit exposed actually, but that's okay. The panels. Okay, so the big panel. Let me go and get one of the circuit boards. What choice of fire and booze do we have tonight, says Beanie. We have dark and stormy, but this will be followed by lurid fluorescent blue, not actually sodium fluorescent that, but flavored rum and tonic. Kind of gin and tonic, but without the juniper. One moment. I got my batch of really big circuit boards through, and I tested one. I used a machine to form all the resistors in advance. It turns out it's made by Cliff. The same company makes the Cliff Quick Test. And the machine, you load bandoliered resistors in out of a box, and you turn the handle, and if it's set up correctly, it will just churn through components, so literally hundreds. It takes so little time to get through a pack of resistors, of 1,000 resistors, and it just basically cuts the leads and then forms them. So I used that, which saves some time. But then even with those formed leads, it took about 70 minutes to solder all the resistors in one of these panels because there are a lot of resistors. I've forgotten how many resistors there are. There are 13 by 18 matrix of LEDs. It's quite a lot of resistors and LEDs. But the good news it works perfectly, so I shall release the files. So if you can get a set 5 made by GLC PCB if you want, not a sponsor. But be aware that they are quite arduous to solder up. There's a lot of work in them. Also, I used 1000 ohm resistors in that panel, and that kind of determined the color because I found that the LEDs I was using were pretty dim, the blues and reds and yellows, unless you use something like that. These ones are 220 ohm resistors, with same greens actually, up there. But these ones are 1K resistors. And each of these panels here draws the same current. It starts off the peak of about half an amp and then it stabilizes because they're a 50-50 mark space ratio. Once they're out of sync, it drops down to about 250 milliamps. This whole panel only draws 250 milliamps with 1K resistors, and it's actually fairly subtle. It's bright, but it's not too bad. I mean, obviously it's not visually subtle. And when I first made it, I posted a wee video about it on Patreon, and somebody spotted the LED that I'd missed that was not lit. It turned out there's a wee soda bridge in the back that was just barely making, so maybe that's why I hadn't spotted it before, because I think it was intermittent soda bridge. How is it with the lights off? It could be a bit ferocious, the lights off. It's ferocious with the lights off. They're just ridiculous, the lights off. It's a swarming mess of light. Let's turn the light back on again. That is slightly nauseating, but interesting to see these ones up here. I shall turn the light back on again. That's better. Crisper. I'm just going to put these circuit boards out through the way and get the other circuit boards that came with this batch. I'll get the other two sets. No, I won't, because I've put one of them out of the way. Right, tell you what, 1 minute. Maybe I won't. Or maybe I won't. Where have I put that? Where have I put those circuit boards? So the circuit boards, the other ones are a little circuit board I actually featured in a video a while back. I just decided to throw the file in to have some made. And I'll be sending some out to Patreon supporters just because it's something they can test and try and see if they think they changed or modified. And then if they're happy with them, we'll just release the file. And if you guys want to make them, again, I'll put the file up for GLC PCB or other companies. Oh, that's something I meant to say about that. These circuit boards are big. So you can order a small batch for about, I'm not sure how much it would cost, but you can order a small batch of 5 from GLC PCB, but the postage will be relatively high because they are heavy. It came in quite a big box. So, yes, I'll just check here. I've been here for hours. Scruff Dog. Have you really been here for hours, Scruff Dog? I want a 6-foot version. Well, technically speaking, you could cascade them end to end, but would your patience last? I mean, it would look very good right along the back here, but it would not please the YouTube algorithm at all. So, have you guys worked out what's odd about these panels yet? It's not like color changing LEDs as such. You'll see there's a mixture of red and blue in this. This is a matrix of red and blue LEDs. Hold on. I can bring it down. Is it going to be more visible like that? It is if I do that. It's kind of not more visible like that. It's a checkerboard pattern of red and blue LEDs. And in the distance, it looks pretty good, I have to say. And this one here is a array of red, yellow, green, and blue LEDs. I think the addition of the yellow softens that a bit because otherwise it would be dominated by the blue and green if it was just red, green, blue. So that also fits in the patterns. That is red, green, blue, yellow. And it looks all right. It looks okay indeed. I should put this one back up here again. Diodes. What are those diodes, I wonder? Sometimes I stuff components up here. 3.9 volt Zener. Okay. Let's put that down here. So I put it in the correct place. That was probably just put up there out the way in a moment's inspiration. How do they cycle then? Franco Walker asks. They're self-flashing LEDs. The LED has a chip inside it that makes it flash on and off. And in this case, it's just like it's over 200 of them. And they just, because they've all got their own time base, I can show you this. I can unplug it, plug it in again, and you'll see they all start flashing together, but quickly move out of sync. And when they move out of sync, it goes rather chaotic, and it does it fairly quickly. It's always sliding. Theoretically, at some point, it would come into sync. The odds are very low, but it would theoretically come into complete sync again. But I'm not sure how long it would take for it to do that. Looks like they have a Perspex cover on them from a distance. They don't. It's just in a picture frame. Maybe that's the cover you're thinking of. But this is just a bare circuit board. I couldn't fit it in. It's designed to fit in an A4 picture frame, but it didn't quite fit between the top of the cabinets and the ceiling, because I never really anticipated I was going to be live streaming from here with LED panels behind me. Otherwise, I would have mounted these just a little bit lower. But then again, they're at a good height. Could you do a matrix pattern on the green one? Oh, the chasing streams, you could theoretically, but that would involve lots of shift registers and a microcontroller to feed data, or just a feedback. The GIF for your Whooshy Magic stream in the up next is you UV cleansing the screen. Very cool. Oh, right, okay. Could you put a timer in the feed to reset them now and then? There is an artist who builds panels like this, and he does the color changing LEDs, but he sequentially resets them, so you get a wave of color goes down it, and then they actually lose pattern. It's quite interesting. It looks like a prop you'd see in Red Dwarf. Yes. Talking of which, I found some panels from the past that were used in various television productions. And where is it? Where is it? There it is. That I ended up framing afterwards. The Chaos panel. Now, this was for television and film use, and for that reason, it has the LEDs configured on a 50-50 matrix. So they're actually always 50% they must be on, and they're not very bright because this is back from 2003 this panel was made, but it was a design that went back to 1997. And it was designed for use on certain television programs. And they ended up being put out. The panels were stackable and you could build them into things. And they were used with various TV programs. They were distributed by a prop company in Glasgow. But this one is notable because it's always got 50%. It looks so tame compared to others now, doesn't it? It looks rubbish compared to others. But in the television use, it was absolutely, this is the sort of brightness you wanted in a sort of studio setting for sci-fi, because you don't want it competing too much with what's happening on the main lighting. But this one is actually based, it's horrible, it's based in flip-flops, not flip-flops, astable multi-vibrators. And because I was hand etching the circuit boards, there wasn't justification for getting them made to order at that, getting batches made. So it's single-sided, and the LEDs are wired. If you were to look at this, if you were to record it, you would see that there's about 3 or 4 LEDs in series in each circuit. Plus, there's matching set that when one set is off, the other set is on, and they're all running at slightly different frequencies. And that means that no matter at any time in the sequence, there'll always be exactly 50% LEDs lit in this. But that goes back a long way. I framed some of these up for gifts afterwards for people within the industry. This one was made 2003, but the original goes back to 1997. The first ones of these I made. They're quite smart, but they're not bright now. They if anything, I'd actually consider using something like that, but with a variable voltage, so you could actually just tweak it down for intensity to match what was required in the studio. Which show? Come on, various shows. It was used in quite a lot. The Big Green Boy, it is absolutely ridiculous up there. It's huge. It was a lot of work. It took about 70 minutes to do the resistors. And after that, took a break, had a bite to eat. So not sure exactly what it was for LEDs, but I think it was 2 hours for LEDs. for not just cropping them down and putting them in, but also whereas uh, you can the resistors, I actually just to put the resistors in, I put some tape to hold them in place, put another circuit board over the other side and laid it down, soldered one lead, checked they were all sitting square, and then resoldered the other. But I couldn't put them in my soldering jig. These ones are actually, you can make one of these within an hour, these small ones, with the jig, with the lid and the foam. But the big one, because the LEDs couldn't really be held in place, what I had to do was I had to do the same thing, the circuit board over the top, tip it upside down, and initially I soldered one LED at each corner so that, it would sit in the bench roughly level. I had to solder one lead and then I had to go through every single resistor, just reflowing the LED, reflowing the one the solder joint had done, while applying very gentle pressure with the finger just to click it onto the circuit board and line it up. So it was very, very consuming. Was it used by Rolf Harris or Jim'll Fix It? Yes, Uncle Kim, it was. It was used in the sci-fi pedo show called Pedos from Space. That's it. Make the entire back wall into LED panels. That would not please the compression thing. Neon would be cool. Neon is a bit tricky on sets, television and film sets, because you can use it and it has been used in productions, but I'd possibly use the LED stuff now because you get more control over it, and also because you get more control over flicker, and also a television set gets a lot of abuse. Everything has to be really strong because props and the set pieces get moved about there's a lot of, if you see a series in television, there's a good chance that if they multiple series of those episodes, the props will have been removed out of a studio, then they'll have been put into a studio. It's only when a series is really absolutely massive that they'll just have a permanent set in a studio. And just, if you, I forgot what I was saying there again. I'm being distracted by comments here, as usual. But yeah, neon gets broken very easily. I've got a neon tube somewhere from a television show. It was a short film at the end of the sentence. And when I made the controller for it that would flash on and off, because in one of the scenes, the guy's walking down the road with a big flashing question mark or something like that. And I told them, whatever you do, make sure you've always got the spare tube on the set, because if it's so easy to break this. And on the day of filming, someone knocked it over and it smashed, and they actually managed to change it over themselves and got it going. And that would have really screwed up that show if they hadn't done that. That's how it happens. Morris Walker, incandescent fluorescent LED, what's next? Or is this the end of the line? We don't know what's next. Nobody really predicted that LEDs would take over the way they have now. Do they offer surface mount flash LEDs? I should think they probably would, but they'll be quite wide angle, but it would certainly allow for making huge panels like this that were just fairly, they could be made by machine, basically. Do you know what happened? This is so annoying. The red LEDs were quite hard to see through. I've been cropping the leads, and then I've been looking up to the light and looking for the anvil, which is a negative, and the little side electrode, which is a positive. And then I thought, oh, I shouldn't be doing this. I'll just rotate them and look for the little flat in the package. And I did that with the reds, because the flat is normally the cathode. Not in those ones. The flat was the anode, and all the ones I did from that point were wrong. It didn't damage them because there's a resistor in the series to limit the current, but it was annoying. I shall scroll down to the bottom. When does Drunk Ralph appear? Drunk Ralph might possibly appear next week, because he is going to an Undertaker's party next week, I believe. What's the power consumption? Peak power at power up of all these panels is half an amp at 5 volts, so 2.5 watts. Then it goes down to about 250 milliamps, so say 1.5 watts is the power, which isn't too bad. And that includes the big one, because it's running at much lower current than these small ones. Each of these little ones takes as much power as the big one. So at the moment, behind me, it's about 4 or 5 watts tops for the whole lot, which isn't too bad. Should murder be legalized? I'm not really sure about that. You'd have to ask Count Dankula about that. Count Dankula, indeed. I was watching a Count Dankula recently, the Ice Cream Wars in Glasgow. I remember working a job doing lighting in a water tower, and I went down to the ice cream van because me and my colleagues saw it appearing with its musical bells, and we thought, oh, it's a hot day, we'll have an ice cream. Wrong, they didn't sell ice cream in that ice cream van. The joys of Glasgow, groceries and other stuff. The human seagull, murder, indeed. I appeared in that show a couple of times, Taggart, when I was making a little sideline electrician during the day. Well, actually electrician at certain times during the week, and thug in the background, stereotyped villain type background extra figure in films and television. Wasn't blue the last colour that they could reproduce in an LED? It was the last one. But technically speaking, the specialist ultraviolet frequencies are the more recent ones. But blue, it took them a long time. Red and green were available. That original panel I just showed you there that was really dull, that was gallium phosphide greens. And you had the gallium arsenide reds. But it wasn't till a lot later that they came up with the blue, but it's a much weaker technology. It's not the same style of technology. It's not a simple semiconductor junction. It seems to be a thin film technology. And that's why the first blue LEDs were just so unreliable. Clive, are face coverings mandatory in Manx? Not at the moment. We have been free of COVID on the Isle of Man for 2 months now, but the borders are still closed. And they're opening them up to a degree, but they're saying everybody should self-isolate. But if someone comes back and self-isolates with their family, they're going to contaminate their family, and the family are going to go out and spread it. I think it's going to come back in the island. Down the Shed says, I am here, sorry I'm late. Refecerating, modifying shed studio. Exciting. Just got some ultraviolet. Ultra bright UV LEDs use a 75 ohm resistor. They're excellent. Okay. Have you got any LEDs you can control over the network, over a network, the internet? I don't really use that stuff. What type of underwear do I wear? Says Evan. I wear cotton boxer shorts. Uh-huh. How'd you spend Friday night? I installed an emergency LED bulkhead just to alleviate the boredom. All right, I was building stuff. But LED emergency, the bulkhead is quite useful in the house, actually, particularly in a place like, well, more where Ralph is, it would be useful because he's out in a sort of countryside area, and it's all overhead lines to him, and well, it's overhead lines to me as well, but his are more prone to cables, trees coming down on them or wind damage. Was this the biggest you ever made? Is it the biggest? Because it depends. These ones were used for some applications. They were used en masse. There's only about 64 LEDs in each of these, but they were used in large clusters because they were designed to butt up to each other and extend outwards. I find it weird customers and shops will have to wear a face mask but not staff. That does seem a bit odd, to be honest. That does seem a bit strange. Andy Mouse 123 says, I also paid a lot for a blue LED back in the day. Initially, the first ones that came out were silicon carbide blue LEDs. And they were very dull. They were a strange pallid blue. But pretty rugged, I think. I'm not really sure. Bruxus, you do not want fiber optic undies, particularly with glass fibers. But the first blue LEDs were the silicon carbide, and they were really dull. They took a lot of current, quite a high voltage, and they cost £10 each. And then the new gallium nitride ones came out, and they charged £10 each again because they were novel. Nowadays, if it cost you more than 5p, you'd be outraged. Yeah, Furbear, no glass fibers. They're just awful. The original fiber optic lamps or the original fiber optic looms with very fine glass fibers in them, they used to snap and you'd get glass scalps off them. It was horrible. You know those fiber optic lamps, which is all the points fanning out from the top? The first ones were glass, and I had one. Oh, the glass was awful. You know, it gave you so many scalps if you touched it. It looked nice, but it was unpleasant. They make special fiber optic cloth for clothing now. That'll be the polymer fiber optics. Which are better? Owen Griffith's Music says, I work in Morrison's in Scotland and we have to wear masks during open hours but not during night shifts. That makes sense. That's better. We've been told we don't have to wear masks in store, but the company strongly encourage it, if you know what I mean. To be honest, I'm coming to the conclusion that masks are actually possibly a good idea. As the truth about this, we'll find out afterwards. Once this is all passed, there's going to be a lot more information about the virus, but it's nasty. That's, it doesn't affect everybody this way, but in some people it causes thickening of their blood, and it's very, very odd. Silicon carbide, like the abrasive, yes indeed. As in like the silicon carbide whisker, the whisker radios used to use the same sort of diode effect. If you get a big chunk of silicon carbide and you probe around the electrodes, you can actually make it glow blue in just little patterns in it. Fiberglass condoms, Zebo. I'm not sure that'd be a good idea. They'd be flame resistant. I remember the worm light with a white LED in the late 1990s and early 2000s. The worm light? Okay. Not sure which that would be. Our entire state now is mandatory masks, says Peter S. I think, they're realizing over time that, it's been a bit more serious than thought. Make a mask sterilizer. I'm not over convinced about that. I see people making them, and some of them are using these fake germicidal lamps. It's very odd. Who do you watch on YouTube, says Mike Greenhoch. Well, I would say you probably know, because I get the feeling that YouTube tends to recommend whoever I watch to you guys. So say for instance on Big Clive Live, I just ended up watching quite a few of Count Dankula's videos. So that's maybe if you've been getting recommended Count Dankula for that reason. Count Dankula is a Ouija who concentrates on the stories of absolutely terrible people, but in a good way. Well, kind of bad way, but a good way. Matt Rutter says silicon carbide LEDs were invented in 1907. They would have been invented way back because they're one of the simplest LEDs, but just not very efficient. Ooh, £50 fine you're caught without. Are people price gouging the masks is the question. What was the best and rubbish job you had? If you're talking employers, I would say one of the best employers. I'm not sure. I quite enjoyed working with most of the companies I worked with, but there was one that I did not enjoy. J.H. Shaw. It was an electrical contractor that is gone now, and it was cliquish. And I've worked for Forth Electric, and they've got a reputation for uh, being a bit cliquish. It's like people who feel they're part of the company and are a bit backstabberish, but they're okay. But J.H. Shaw took it to a different level. It was unpleasant working for them, and I was kind of glad to leave them, to be honest, but they're gone now. Mm. Ugly, cliquish companies are horrible. They are. If you should enjoy going to work, you should have nice colleagues, but when they won't even tell you where materials are when you go into a job, that's just obstructive and unpleasant. That wasn't nice. Hmm. Human seagull. Oh, I'm not going to say that because just in case, because then your management might find out you said online. Ooh. BBC wasn't nice. You said the BBC were okay. There's a lot of skilled people, but they're very political. It's not something I wouldn't actually really choose to work with them a lot, but they're okay now and then. Used to be $68 for a box of 50, now they're $3 a pop. Yep, they've cashed in. Yeah, how can I stop my glasses steaming up when I wear a mask? You do get masks that are kind of designed, are better designed, but they do make my. I find when I wear a mask, it always seems to just ooze out, make glasses steam up. It's a bit awkward, but you maybe have to go for a better mask. Do Ralph's big red button work? Yes, it does. He's using it, but you know what? He brings out then, you can hear the clatter of him putting it down at the beginning of the video, but then he goes at the end, he goes like this, and as soon as he touches the top of it, before it even clicks, it cuts the video because it waits till it when it does cut out, when it detects it, it just nudges back along the video just to remove the click. off the button. Roundrew says, I put a piece of welding rod in the mask, shaped to my nose to keep my breath and fog out my glasses. That sounds reasonable enough. With the Clive beard. You rub a soap bar in the glasses. You used to be able to get little bars of this soapy, waxy stuff you put in the glasses, and it makes the water form flat layers, flat drops, and it stops it fogging up. But rubbing anything in your glasses is going to end up, anybody who wears glasses know, when you get dirty glasses or scratch glasses, you end up looking at light sources and you can see all the radiating lines around them because it shows that it's like a filter. Benjamin Bumgrape says, if you wear glasses with a mask, you're entitled to condensation. Okay. Wash and soap, welding rod video. Oh no, I've just mixed all them up. It just jumped while I was reading one. Wash and soap welding rod, yes. Put your glasses on the edge of the fabric, keeps it from fogging your glasses. Okay. Def Palm's the same remote as Ralph had. It seems to be a very common clone remote. You as mentioned on EEV blog. Okay, was that recent, or was that the JP Dylan scenario? Who's back? His channel's back. I have glass that eventually breathe. That's good. To stop misting, put some vinegar in water and apply. I thought you were going to say, Ian, too. I thought you were going to say, to stop misting, put vinegar in your eyes. Oh, no! Spit in the glasses helps, too. It's just like, oh, no. Anyone of you see the 1000 amp welding rod video from A-Bomb79? I've asked a question on that because I saw that. I saw it when they first originally got that welding rod. It requires a generator outside to run the welder. It runs the welding rod at 1000 amps, and it's about 3/4 inch diameter, plus then it's got that's the rod inside, but then it's got the flux on the outside of it. It was very interesting. It does run. I thought it might run at a slightly elevated voltage because of the bigger gap, because of the thicker crust of the flux on the outside, but it does still run at 80 volts. Open circuit, just short of that, which is a sort of safety thing to keep the voltage down to try and make the welding equipment safer. But very interesting. A-Bomb didn't seem happy with his weld, but I don't think he had any control because it looked at it been popping out a bit, bubbles, but I don't think there's any choice over that. Some were saying it's actually a filler rod used to fill large voids, but when you saw him welding with it, it turned into it looked really wet. It looked like a puddle of water, to be honest. So I don't think there'd be any choice over that. Any gassing as it cooled down would result in those pockets of air. EV blog was because a fellow electronics YouTuber recently having channel taken down for no reason. That was JP Dylan. Otherwise, Jordan, known as Jordan Peer. He's back again now. That's okay. That's solved. What brand of ginger ale? In this case, it's a supermarket. It's Sainsbury's ginger beer. And it's Sainsbury's rum, white rum. Why white rum? There's a reason I chose white rum this time as opposed to dark rum. I see what looks like a flying ant. Right, tell you what, I'm just going to close a window. And get my zapper bat. Here, little flying ant. Here, little flying ant. Where's the little flying ant? Always when you get the bat, they've gone. Where is it? Oh, there it is. Oh, no, it's kind of agitated. It's not letting me get near it. I shall catch you when you're tired, you little bastard. Okay. Oh, hold on. And the ant is no more. Excellent. Fry, burn, little ant. Talking of which, let me just grab a screwdriver. We'll see how zappy this is by poking a completely metal object into it. Oh yeah, that's quite sparky. That is quite sparky. But why am I not getting a shock? Hmm. So we're still on top tips about high voltage blood and pet are after you now they will be. Frang Ant Day. The zapper looks well used. The zapper has been abused. It's probably had flames under it and everything. It's been used for many things. Any special guests today? I do hope not. It's good to have quiet times. Why are window screens uncommon over there? They're just not normally needed. We don't have too many insects. Just the flies aren't really what you call too bitey or aggressive. The midges are. Are you going to dismantle an ant? I'd need to zoom in on that. Guessing the high voltage takes the fastest route. It's just because there's no reference to ground from it. Although technically speaking, the screwdriver does become live when you touch it in one connection, but only on the supply that's inside the bat. So you can bridge it with the screwdriver without getting a shock. If it was plugged into the mains, I wouldn't be trying it. I've zapped and revived a fly with one of those zappers. Not convinced about that, but okay. Big Clive, not an Iceland shopper, Tony Pate. It used to be that the local supermarket is called ShopRite, and it used to stock Waitrose and Iceland products, but now they've dropped it now, and it's all the same products, but they're all branded Sainsbury's, which makes me think they're all coming from the same place. I'm also a Poundland shopper, or to be more accurately, a Deals shopper. Dealz or Z, which is the Isle of Man version of Poundland. It's the same company, but Ireland and the Isle of Man and other islands have deals because everything's £1.20 instead of £1. Eekpie says, hello, beardy boy. Hello, greetings back. Oh, is Lewis here? Oh, Lewis is here. Aha. Taking a break from fixing Apple products. Oh, I see. Is there mint ginger ale there? I've not come across mint ginger ale. We put a step up, transform one of those bats, and it produced one hell of a shot. Use pegboard. Travelling fair starting to get back in the road. Part of ours has gone to Iceland. Oh, right, okay. Do you know the YouTube channel of Marco Reps? He does lasers high voltage. I do know. Yes. I've not seen Naomi Ware's video today. I'll have to have a look at that. Do you still have a dent in your ceiling from the Pepsi can? That wasn't my ceiling. That was unfortunately the accommodation I was in at the time while working. It's so strange. At this time, I would have been gearing up or already away to Glasgow to start working in Edinburgh 2 later on. I'd have gone to Glasgow and then gone through to Edinburgh. But that's not happening this year. It feels very, very strange. It's the first year in about 10 or so that I've not done that job simply because it's not happening because of the pandemic. Tom Tucker is a regional thing. Yeah, I'm not sure what this Tom Tucker is. The Holly Barreraton, the high voltage neon tester and jammer isn't back together yet, but can go back together. It's all sat in the case in the correct place. It just needs lots of hot melt glue slabbered all over it and soldered up. You've got all those flashy LED panels. Now who needs those old-fashioned reel-to-reel data things and you've got an old-fashioned computer mock-up special effect? Well, these were used in one of their iterations as solid walls of these, and in between was the slowly rotating reels. They were actually just on synchronous motors for speed and noise reasons, and it had the old computer reels rotating in between these chaotic panels. That appeared in a few things, including Haywire. Not sure how many programs, because once you've made a prop, it goes in various productions. Take a Scottish holiday? Well, it sounds like Scotland's still got the pandemic I'm not sure how bad it is, but it still sounds a bit dodgy. And if I did go back, it would be complicated. And then when I came back here, I'd have to be isolated for 2 weeks here without going out. Have the recent change in star signs affected yours? What? I'm not really sure about that. Oh, did you see Jeff Marshall's video in the live Underground interactive board? I saw that. It's a map of the Underground, the London Underground, which has LEDs along it that shows the progress of trains along it. I was thinking it'd be quite interesting to emulate that in software, even if there were no trains running, or even have an imaginary train system and just emulate those LEDs just moving along it. It'd be quite interesting. So I'm not planning on going back to Scotland too soon. I want to get back because I like Glasgow, but I'll wait till everything's over. We'll see what happens. The Dark and Stormy is finished. We're now on to the next thing, but someone is asking for fire. Hold on, let me get the lighter. I think I need to do the Mark II version of this, or experiment with alternative fills for this. I noticed the shirts that Scruff Dog sent, well, at least one of them is flame resistant, which is quite handy. Oh, yeah, definitely handy for behavior like this. Uh-huh. That bit of copper tape in the front was a good idea. Scruff Dogs, rather predictably, as a flame-resistant shirt. It's got the same things on it. Same company. And Mike's name. See, this is odd. We don't have that in the UK. We don't have these little sort of name labels in the work clothing. That's quite strange. It's usually just the company logo, but it's the long sleeve shirt and warns you to wash it in particular ways. Yes, indeed. Strange second name Mike's got. It's kind of rude almost. Bears for the win. Yes, indeed. But let's, have you ever burnt your beard? Yes, I have. I've had little things explode in my face. That doesn't sound right either, does it? Fiery things explode in my face. Nomex knickers. Well, but some of the work clothing is flame resistant just because everything, even if it's not like to be needed, you end up yeah, you end up getting issued it anyway. What music does Clive listen to? Listen to a fair mix, a fair variety. Maybe I should put a playlist up of the music I listen to, the current music. I could tell you I could name some of the tracks. I can't play them because if I do, that instantly hands all the revenue of this video over to a music company. Not so much even just a music company, but not to the musician, but to the rights management societies who take all the money and give very little to the musicians. It seems very strange. But recent tracks have been up there's a. Oh no, I'm not going to be able to do this because it's a completely. It's the computer is signed into the Big Clive Live at the moment, which doesn't really work. Music. Well, is it going to suggest anything from music? No, it's not. No, there's nothing in my music list in this channel. Feat DJ Khaled and Drake. Good beards, right enough, I have to say. Their beards are very good. Even if they do look slightly over manicured. But anyway, back to the stream and what's happening. Scottish folk songs of the 1800s? Definitely not that. Oh, is Julian here? Ah. Oh, Julian is here. I will put a playlist up, but I warn you in advance, it's very thumpy and dancey, and it's perhaps more suited to people who grew up in the 80s in the UK. It's very electronic-y, music-y stuff. Clearly not my age group. But then it's my age group who actually make the music in the first place that gets presented in the charts. What's that one that I really like at the moment? It's an old Stock Aitken Waterman song. Lonnie something? Can't remember, but it's really thumping. It's very good. Julian Eilert, I'm your age group, Clive, and I tell you, do you listen to that dancey music, Julian, or am I just never grew up? Anyway, is there some new order in there? I was humming Blue Monday recently, but to be honest, it sounds very tame. It doesn't sound good these days. It needs boosted. Anyway, it is time to pour another beverage. Faith and Son's pink rum, but as you can see, it's not pink. This was a gift from Robert Morley, who works in the entertainment industry too, and is also feeling the times that we're going through. And he sent me this pink rum, which was originally strawberry and raspberry, and then it ran out, and it was quite nice. It's like gin, but without the juniper, but the fruit flavors in it. So I got Chinese fruity flavors, as one does. Got the white rum, added blueberry and watermelon. Thought it was quite nice. Added a drop of blue food coloring, and now I'm going to have kind of a gin and tonic, but not with gin. It's going to be flavored rum. With Sainsbury's Diet Indian tonic water, one has to watch one's weight, you know. Thumpy like Aqua, well, to be honest, Aqua did produce a lot of good music. You know, it wasn't just Barbie Girl. They have some serious music amongst their collection. They're quite good. They're very capable musicians. My favorite band is Camel. Okay. Not so sure about that. Everybody has different music tastes. Turn Back Time is very good. Venga Boys next. Well, I like the production concept of the Venga Boys because it's very rich and chordy and it's very clearly done, made by older people made that knowing fine well that music was going to be good. The drink is this lovely blue, but it actually gets better with ultraviolet. It actually makes a really vibrantly blue drink. I need to make a base for this with this. Does anybody do ultraviolet gin and tonic glasses? It's fruity. Tonic water, yuck. As you get older, you just get to like this stuff. So that I just heard the phone go. Who's this? Is this Vince, the crew chief, or somebody else? Or is it just a notification? It's actually just notification. You received £10 from Charles. Thank you, Charles. Let's go down and see what that was for. Is that down here somewhere? It's not updated yet. Interesting. Yeah, Charles is always generous. Charles is either, with the PayPal notifications, he's either sent a contribution to the channel or he has bought something off my website. How's Vince recovering? Didn't Vince catch COVID? Vince did catch COVID. He seems okay. He wanted us to meet up in July on the arena where we'd normally have had the event and have a little cocktail picnic in the middle of the Esplanade. But to be honest, I don't think at this point in time, I don't think that's viable or a good idea. Pet Shop Boys are good. Yes, they are. Very dancey and thumpy. I do like that. West End Girl in particular. Tangerine Dream, I'm not overly familiar with Tangerine Dream, but I know they were very synthesized. Have you seen Robert Murray Smith's channel, Clive? I have, yes. I'm not sure what happened with his suspiciously high capacity supercapacitors. I'm not sure. They were going for testing and then it kind of went quiet. Do you dance? No, I don't. It is undignified. Put a donk in it. Yes, the Buggles. The Buggles Video Killed the Radio Star was actually a pretty good track. They were an in-house. They were Island Records. They were an in-house group, weren't they? The Buggles. You can dance if you want to. Is that the danger dance or the safety dance? The danger dance for me, undignified and tribal. That makes it sound a bit. That's racist, Julian. It's not. But yeah, I'm just not a dancer. I don't. I'm not a wallflower. I'll go to the club, but I'll be the one who's out up against the wall, just with my drink and just observing what goes on. Do you know? Here's a strange thing. Those of you who were on I think it was the Patreon stream that I did recently. I was talking about how a few of the videos I've been watching before going to bed have been the Detroit skater soul skate events where it's basically they're still running these roller discos really fundamentally, but in huge big warehouses, really flat floor, and everybody just basically whizzing around in circles with people doing fancy moves. But what's really good is the acoustics are really boomy and thumpy because of the scale of the place. It's not like it's not quite crisp, high fidelity music. It's really boomy. Jaeger alert. That's true. It is Jaeger time. Um, but the sound is good. But also, there's a guy called Chris Kris. It's a YouTube channel, and he skates around with them. But his camera work is really good, and it makes you feel like you're in amongst them, weaving in amongst these people. And the videos are just really good. He can't monetize any of them effectively because all the music in them is being claimed, because it's a music venue, that's all being claimed. The ones that the algorithm can detect is assigning the rights to the copyright holder for the music. Jägermeister. Mm. I almost stuck the pinky out for that. Tiny little biblical Jaeger shots. Those videos, the skater videos, it was interesting. By some sheer coincidence, I showed Ralph one of them when he was across. And next thing I know, Ralph has said there's a place opening literally this weekend that is a big skate venue. There's a sort of what they call the Fun Farm in the Isle of Man, and Laser Blast, and they've just built this huge multi-level warehouse type place. You're thinking, is this still profitable these days? But they have a roller rink in that with the booming bass and acoustics. It looks pretty good. But the possibility of me actually getting skates to fit my huge feet is very unlikely. Jägermeister. Jägermeister is our house wine, as it says in the Solid Rock Cafe. Or Solid Rock is better description, since it isn't the Solid Rock Cafe, it's the Solid Rock. Yellow was an electronics magazine in Germany, really. Yellow was a very good band, so far ahead of their time. How's our Ralph? Ralph's doing fine. I'm a size 14 and I've got inline skates. Ah, but are you an American 14, which is a British 13? There's just not much demand for roller skates these days. Mm. Clive is pulling old music memories out of the depths of my mind, says Adam. Just you go and type some of your favorite tracks into YouTube and watch YouTube assess the era that you grew up in and start recommending tracks from your era. It can be a bit of a wormhole through time. Giorgio Moroder, indeed, with Human League. Electric Dreams. Clive needs Heelys. I could get Heelys. Yeah, I'm not sure that'd be a good idea. Jägermeister is my burger sauce. Technically speaking, it could be boiled down to a sauce. It's kind of fruity, like Buckfast can be used as a sauce. Yellow are still putting out music? Oh, right, okay. Mm. I think you'd suit a set of Heelys. I'm not sure that would work. The bearings would probably collapse. Hmm. I Feel Love Indeed by Donna Summers. Or how about Not Over You Yet by, who was that? Not Over You Yet. I keep mixing her up with Donna Summers. Not Over You Yet. I can't remember. Hmm. Detroit Gran Poo Base Sandwich. I'm not really sure about that. 11 Alks and Spices. Hmm. It wasn't Suzanne Vega. Sajon Darude, it's all pretty good. Does Clive have tinea? I do occasionally actually have a slight background maybe for going to nightclubs or maybe just work when I was a kid. The Mad Chef Glasgow and Buckfast and ice cream, to be honest, that'd be quite nice. It'd quite sound quite pleasant. Donna Summer, let's see, it's not Donna Summer, it's oh, what was her name? Hold on, I'm just going to find that. I'll find it just by going and searching um, for Not Over You Yet. Not Over You Yet. Dana Ross, that's the one. That's what I'm looking for. The remix, the thumping dancing version was very good. I just played that all the time when it first came out. Mm. Oh, I heard of videos demonetized for having a paint machine being matched for techno music. Well, I have to say, I used to have a video where there was a track from what's that? What's that guy? Something McLeod. Um, in Compotech, he put out music, and one of them was this sort of dramatic thing. And I was up in a cherry picker at the time, and I just recorded a cherry picker going through the trees, and it was this rising crescendo, and then suddenly you're seeing over the top of the trees. I just thought it suited it. It kept getting flagged as being in breach of copyright of a aircraft noise that somebody put out as a sound sample for aircrafts. If you consider it, it must be really hard differentiating between tracks because there is a limit to how many combinations of music notes that are logical in a sense, that actually work together to make music. Why don't you do super chats support your streams? Because I don't really approve it. I feel it sort of it could be a distraction if people contribute and then I have to divert to read their message. And also it makes it unfair. It gives priority to other people. So I don't do that. I've never really liked that. So I don't do it. I think sometimes you it kind of spoils some live streams when people are just trying to get attention continually by contributing via the super chat. I'm not sure. Maybe it is a good idea. I'm not really sure. YouTube do skim a bit from super chat, but that's just how it works. That's how they make their money. I bet they're kicking themselves about Patreon. They didn't see that coming, did they? But then I don't think MD saw Patreon coming away, an independent way of supporting people. It's great. It works really well. And I see a lot of good artists that would not have been able to raise support in other ways on Patreon, and it just works for them. The large green panel, someone's mentioning it. It is very good. I do like it, I have to say. And although it takes a long time to build, the temptation is to build more. Um, yeah, but I'm not sure. It might be one of the coloured ones. I'm not really sure. It depends what you think how they look from the distance. Which looks better, the full colour one, or the full colour that's red, yellow, green, and blue, or just red and blue? But could you turn the drawers into one massive LED matrix? I suppose you could, but it would involve putting wiring into the drawers, and they're full of components. Oh, no, it's just shot up. Full colour, green. The other thing I could do is have the subtle colour changing one, but then you don't really see much with those. In a situation like this, I put something like that up before in the past, and all you saw was a very subtle change of intensity because it was so fuzzy. I suppose you could dig that out. I'm not sure where it is. I've got the blue and yellow ones down at the side here as well. I could try and plug them all in. I'm not sure that'd be a good idea. There's not much space left to put things. It does, in a way, it does look like a game of life, but at really high speed. And you see those patterns morphing and twisting across it. Just put a TV up there. I suppose you could put a TV up there and do it in software. Philip Moyer says, I've read, and the yellow and green will be done soon. Traffic lights. So you guys that ordered some of these circuit boards from GLC or other manufacturers, did they take long to come through? They've been coming through quite quickly for me. I can't make a pink chaos panel because, yeah, the software is kind of boring, Julian, but I can't really make a pink panel because I can't get pink flashing LEDs. GLC PCB took just under 2 weeks. That's pretty fast, isn't it? 8 days for Philip Moye. That's good. Only took a week, says the King of Failure. That's good. And mine came through really quickly too. It came through. It must have come through the bulk shipment because other people said they got the packages at the same time, and mine was shipped within the UK. So it must have come over as a bulk drop and then redistributed in the UK. I'm having trouble getting the LEDs, says Mez90B. You'll have to go onto ebay.com and search for 5mm 1.5HZ or 1.5HZ, 1.5 hertz, and also add keywords like 100 PCS, 100 pieces, or 1000 PCS, 1000 pieces, and diffused maybe as well. And you'll find the flashing LEDs. Any updates in the merch yet, Clive? Not really. I'm at a sort of mid-position. I wasn't sure about the logos that I got. As someone's pointed out, it does look like an unhappy face, doesn't it? Don't know if that needs changed. I don't think so. The embroidery kind of, they just kind of made it look like a big sad face, really. When in reality, the logo has that little dip in the middle. Maybe it just needs reworked a little bit. Don't know, enhanced. I'm not really sure. But having said that, it still does look like the logo. We shall see. Maybe I'll just put the files up and then you guys can have your wicked way with them and maybe even suggest modifications and change them. Stern, not unhappy. Indeed. Leave it. Okay. In that case, maybe I'll talk to that embroidery company I got the hat done in the UK and just ask if they'd put it up as a listing on eBay. So that instead of actually using the same files over and over again, or maybe we should, if someone knows an expert in the embroidery patterns who really takes things seriously and knows the best way to format the embroidery for hats and things like that, then we could put up actual embroidery files. That might be a good idea. What happens when rectangular shades go out of fashion? Rectangular shades will never go out of fashion. My glasses, I used to get the biggest lens possible because I thought, well, the bigger it is, the more I can see out it. But in reality, me and Ralph, I guess because we're brothers, have virtually identical eyesight. We can swap glasses and it's just identical or near identical. And I tried Ralph's glasses because I was getting the glasses. I used to go for actual glass and they're thick and it used to actually cut a ridge into the nose. And then I tried Ralph's glasses and they were these little narrow ones. And you suddenly realize that you don't actually, your eyes, you tend to point your head to where you're actually looking. So there is a good range in these glasses to see. So they're better. And they still provide the full protection against flying shrapnel when you have little incidents. Midnight Joke, what was those lamps called that had loads of optical fibers called? They were called fiber optic lamps, strangely enough. And the very earliest, the power usage in the green one, 1.5 watts. It's 1K resistors. It runs on 5 volts, 250 milliamps or so once it's settled down, but a peak of 500 milliamps. So it's designed to run off a USB power supply. Contact lenses are much better. I tried contact lenses once and they were gas permeable hard contact lenses. They were horrible. I know they can do it differently these days for the astigmatism type things of the eyes, the different shaped eyes. But to be honest, one of the things I didn't like about them, the fact they were absolutely horrible they were just horrible to wear. They were uncomfortable to wear. The other thing is, when you work with electrical stuff and technical stuff, having a pair of glasses on all the time is a huge advantage. The number of times things have ricocheted off the glass or plastic is huge. Big Clive mask with logo. Well, to be honest, there is a version of logo with a mask knocking about. It was done by Ain't Big Ain't Clever. Sent me a version of that. Laser surgery, not really keen in that, particularly at my age, as the things that eyes are degrading a little bit. It doesn't work so well. Also, I went to Optical Express and because they had this thing, hey, it doesn't cost much. And then I went in and there was a salesman there who asked if he could sit in on the eye test and kept basically whispering to the person who was conducting the eye test, getting her to price gouge. And at the end, they gave me a price. And that it was like, I was thinking, fuck, that's really high. And they said, and that's for your left eye, and it's the same for the right eye. And it was like, goodbye. And that was it. So fuck them. Oh, I swore not to worry. YouTube allows modest profanity in context, so that was in context. I prefer real glasses anyway. Even if I've got laser eye correction, I'd want glasses or to actually protect my eyes because, yeah. And demonetized, indeed, it happens a lot. LASIK for the brown eye. 3 for the price of 2 offering laser surgery IOM spec savers. Can I swear? You can, Julian. You can swear as much as you like. Because let's face it, yeah, it's the rude channel. It's not the polite technical channel. Big Clive phone in show sounds fun. Oh, phone in show. Okay. How does technology change directions of electric motor? There are various ways to change the direction of electric motors depending on the motor. Captain Young. It can be swapping field with respect to rotor, or it can be just dual windings in a capacitor causing phase shift. We all have Tourette's. Well, you'll find a lot more people, autistic people swear. I think it's a defensive thing, but it's a very expressive, it's good punctuation. It adds lots of emphasis to a sentence. Keep thinking I've not done something. I'm not sure what it is. I'm really not sure what it is too. I'm just going to shoot some flames just to see if that's what's missing. I think some flames from this direction for a change. Yeah. Is that improving things? Yeah, it's kind of improving things a bit, but it still feels like there's something missing. I'm not sure what it is. My brown eye is crying. Okay. Mm-hmm. Paid your TV license? No, because there's no need to pay the TV license. You may notice I've added a little bit into the description of every video. It's the default bit that says that TV license is not required to view my videos. I noticed that Capita are implying in their usual misleading wordplay that you do require a license to view YouTube videos. That might be for some minority of YouTube videos in some concept, but it certainly isn't the bulk of YouTube. Did I miss the UVC at the beginning? I'm feeling solid. I can really sterilize people. I can do it from a distance. I can just point it like this. Uh-huh. Oh, yeah, that's sterilizing everybody. Or it could be done with the super drink energizer. That's quite bright, isn't it? I could re-sterilize everybody. But, I don't want to over-sterilize them in case you die or anything like that. I'm already sterile. I don't know, maybe I have had COVID, or do the badges glow? They don't really glow. Well, what does it say on the side? It says Heister, which is a forklift trucks and stuff like that. Certified elite technician. Certec. So Mike's an elite technician. This is good to know. We're all elite technicians in our way, in our fields of technology. UV drink, what is missing? Well, the UV drink is fine. It's active. There is no more dark and stormy. There is actually dark and stormy. I could have a dark and stormy, but I'm going for the fruity, fluorescent, tonicy water stuff at the moment. Missing the sequin panel. You're the first to notice that I took that down. I just took it down for variety. Also, because it was like blocking access to certain resistor drawers. Because BBC iPlayers on the internet, Capita think they can charge everyone that connects to the internet for a TV license. That is their general tactics. Can I send you my old Morrison's shirt? Now, would that be the Morrisons the shop, or would that be Morrisons the road workers? They tend to have flame retardant boiler suits. Does a fly zapper ignite aerosol? No, it doesn't. Tried it. Lead-free soda's making me angry. Yes, that's reasonable. I want pizza. I had a pizza. That was tea tonight. It was a little mini pizza. It was only about that diameter, but it was enough. I'll turn a base your glass in wood, give a diameter, says Mike and Co. Ah, but I can do it electronically with the 3D printer and incorporate positions for LEDs if I suddenly get the urge to do so. I would want it to run at full power all night. So the question is, should I actually make it charge automatically when I place it down on an inductive charging pad? That's the question. Liz says, can you do the soapy foam flame thingy? Yes, I could do the soapy flame flame thingy. I have the foamy fufra, and I have the special, very expensive. You must only use the proprietary manufacturer's solution of washing up liquid and water. Pink washing up liquid. It's scented, I believe it's grapefruit. Oh, it does smell like grapefruit. It's pink blush, it's called. It's not going to be pink for longer. Oh, 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 oh. Oh, so exciting. The ceiling is definitely getting darker. I may actually spray the ceiling with a solution of water and boric acid to actually make it super flame retardant. Maybe I'll go down a bit lower for this one. And I'll just foam it up. Go slowly to get a nice pillar. There must be there's a very good picture of me lighting Kevin's hand. Well, did you see that? That was last week, yeah, that we tested, and you can put it into your hands and light it, but it does, the moisture does keep it away, but it does get hot at the end. Do you know if you leave green washing up liquid long enough, it turns pink? Can I ask, the bench for normal vids here or someplace else in the bungalow with an upstairs? The bench for the vids, the main one, is actually, the end of it is visible right there. See, it's actually, the shelf that the lights are actually attached to in there is the one that the camera sits on. I'm going to just make some more foam. Bubbles. So much foam from such a small amount of bubbles. It's just the size of an ice cream, but ice creams don't do this, do they? It's like a 99. Nice. I'll put that out the way before I get overindulgent and do stuff. So you can make a 7 or more sided woofler, but yes, you could, but the downside is there is one variable at the top that will change the woofler to actually do exactly as you said. It will make like hexagonal or octagonal, but the actual insert, for the gas cylinder has to be as round as possible to actually make a proper seal. So you'd have to make sure that remained round in the script. Foam popping with laser, I don't know if that would work too well. I don't think it would light it. But it might not seal. You might end up with gas popping out. Is that fair liquid? Yes, it is. And the problem there, it's not so much the gas leaking. The liquid will actually just ooze down through those little sort of hexagonal or octagonal corners around the pipe because it doesn't seal on properly. I could put an O-ring in it. It is actually, incidentally, it is genuinely fairy liquid. Read it first, I can hear mice chewing the insides of my wall. You need to terminate them. That's not nice. I quite like mice, but really you don't want them in your wall. There must be interesting ways to do that. Has anybody seen the flash torch that burns? Yes, but it's kind of pointless unless you want to actually burn stuff. It's not going to last very long, the battery, and it's going to fry the LED. Having said that, the uh, what's the brand of that? The I'll go and get one. Well, I would get one. Oh, there it is. The Nightcore tip. The Nightcore tip, if you put this into its full-on mode, right, which is really quite bright, it will burn plastic. You can actually, if you put it up against plastic, it will actually distort the black plastic and burn it. It's a powerful little light. Very useful. And USB rechargeable. I took one of these apart in a video. It's got a very powerful processor in it. Seems almost over the top, but it works very well. Not as waterproof as it could be, but that's all right. Oh, hold on, what's up here? Has someone cut themselves? Basti Electronic. Oh, what have you done to yourself, Basti? Have you cut yourself? I'm just scrolling down here to see he's done himself a mischief at the bench, presumably. It's easy done, but if it's bleeding quite heavily, yeah. Okay. Grant Rennie, I'm fine. I woke up my mum. She's okay. Sounds like he's got help there. Okay, for excessive bleeding. We're all used to bleeding, aren't we, at the bench? Yeah, because and work because you do yourself quite significant. Ah, she's a nurse. That's quite good. That's good to have a nurse in the house when you're cutting yourself. Hopefully, it's just a flesh and not like the tendons or stuff like that. My worst one was I decided to use the end of a measuring tape cut off to try and get up the side of a plastic tube when it into housing, and I was trying to break the glue seal, and it suddenly kinked and it just slit up the side of the finger, and it was so deep. I was actually pulling it apart, looking to see are there any important bits in there, and then I glued it together with super glue. That's probably not the best thing to do, but I did it. Clive, there's a house for sale in the Isle of Man for over 30 million. Seems a bit expensive. Would that by any chance be the Barony estate? Because it's a huge expanse of land. That wouldn't surprise you, it's that one. But the Isle of Man is unfortunately just one of these places. Even this bungalow cost quite a lot of money, and it's not big. It's smaller than the flat I had in Glasgow, so it's just like, yeah, the Isle of Man is expensive. It's one of these places that people buy the houses and then just leave them to crumble because they bought them as an investment. It's just how things have gone these days. That's not a good thing. Yeah, a lot of people glue themselves with super glue when they cut themselves. Mm. Do you know or live near James Toseland? I don't actually know who that is. What were the search terms? The three lens flashlight? I don't know because I bought that a while back and I tried looking for it and I couldn't find. I tried all the search combinations and couldn't find it. My stepdad has false tooth and it kept falling out and he stuck it back in with super glue. Okay. Hmm. But yeah, slipped screwdrivers. I still slip with screwdrivers occasionally and take chunks out myself. It's just what happens. Paramedics carry superglue. Surgeons have superglue. It's used. That's one of the things it was originally invented for. Didn't they actually use it for in battlefields to do quick repairs? You can disguise your fingerprints with superglue. I guess it would, putting them on the front, but you'd have to make sure you rubbed your fingers together and then separate them really quickly. Ever broken a bone? I'm not. Yes, I have, but I didn't know I'd broken a bone. I was on a job, and it was actually Ember Castle. It was the two. We were moving a light, and I stepped back, and because Ember Castle is a castle and has like castle type things, it had this strange domed V-shaped drainage channel, and I put my foot into it, and it went down really hard, and I thought, oh shit, if I, and everybody was saying, oh, you twisted your ankle. I was thinking, no, it felt like I should have, but it didn't. And then over time, it actually felt as though I had twisted it. And that sprained ankle sensation, it didn't go away. So almost a year later, when I finally decided this is not going to heal, I went to the doctor and he said, all right, we'll check that out and we'll x-ray it. And then I went back after the x-ray and he said, yeah, you've not damaged a tendon, you've not torn a tendon, but the tendon, the bone it was attached to, it's just ripped a bit of bone right off. And he said, but it's kind of in the time you've done it, it's fused itself in a, more or less the correct position. And I said, so what does that mean at work? And he said, well, what did you do when you first did it? I said, I just kept working. He said, well, there's your answer. Just keep working. You come to Blackpool. I wouldn't mind a visit to Blackpool again. Broken eggs are better than badly sprained ones in some ways, not after a year though. Why did you move to where you are? Vonnie Blues, I moved over to look after my mum. Me and my brother had to move over here to nurse my mother. Wife fell out of bath and broke leg just above ankle. Whoa, that's nasty. Can you take us up the tower? Oh no, I can't take you into the tower at Edinburgh too, because that's where all the crown jewels and all that are stored. They're very strict about security in the tower, but we do have lighting up there. Central Pier had bad fire the other night. Mm-hmm. Wonder what caused it. Yeah. Ever taken apart a T10's EMS machine? I've got something better than that to take to bits. Hold on, I'll go and get it. The patrons know already what this is. It's a Zoll defibrillator. Interestingly, the gym that I go to, Key Fitness in Ramsey, also has a Zoll defibrillator. And there's a nice feature about this. This was featured in another stream recently. Nice feature about this is the batteries in it. Some defibrillators have very expensive batteries that you have to change every so often. This one, you change the batteries regularly, but it uses standard CR123A type batteries, just 10 of them, to make up the required voltage and current availability. I'm not sure what arrangement they are here. I'll have to check that out. But this gives it the oomph to do its business. And also, the lithium batteries are very stable. They last for a long time. So this is an interesting unit. This also looks like a cartridge that should be removable. Oh, it does look like it's removable. Oh, it's a speaker grill. Maybe to make it louder. But this is the unit that when you open it, it should theoretically start. It's not got any batteries in it. It's got a big X in the LCD display. Replace batteries before 1310, 10, 1, 10, 13. Then it's updated 2014. This one is in Norwegian. It's retired, a retired unit. I don't think it's got any charge left. Is that a heart rate monitor in the middle of it? Or is that the thing that validates that you can actually do the sort of like the fire the zap? Complex things. Looking forward to this. It's going to be largely software-ish based inside. But a defibrillator like this these days cost something like £1,000, which is just buttons. And it's the sort of thing that you're seeing these appearing at public spaces because they're not hard to use. Even a kid can use it because it actually tells you how to use it. I won't be sticking it to my chest just in case it does decide to defib my heart, because you kind of need someone to provide a little bit of rhythm after that. AD batteries like $600 for the ones at my shop, but you don't have any choice but to buy from the manufacturer. See, that's not nice. Gymnograph, you've been defibrillated twice, so I don't recommend it. I would guess it would be pretty sore. Quark's here. We can start the stream now. This is good. No, I've never been in drag. Rhythm is a dancer indeed. It's a kind of cancer. You can, yeah, that's not good lyrics either, is it? Usually it won't work unless needed. It won't. The defibrillator, when you stick the pads on, first thing it does is it looks for what's left of your heartbeat, and it knows what's correct and what's wrong, and it will only attempt to defibrillate if it has to, and it knows exactly when and what polarity in what's left of the heartbeat, because every scenario is different to actually get the maximum effect. Rapid atrial fibrillation had a short circuit in my heart. Whoa. Rory McLeod in Ontario, Canada, they're mandatory in gyms, arenas, and pools. Why did you buy a defib? I didn't buy it. I was sent it by Thor from Norway. I think it's Norway. Along with some candy. Well, I'd go and get the candy. Hold on, let's go and get the candy. Candy and cheese. A block of cheese. I think it was Thor that sent the cheese. Caramelized cheese. So let's open this. This is, well, this is this. It looks like cheesecake. I get the feeling it's a cheesecake themed chocky bar. There are 1,700 watching. It took a while to grow. This, looking at this, suggests it's seen a bit of heat on its way here, which doesn't bode well for the cheese. I'm a bit suspicious about the cheese now. Oh, this is kind of crumbly. Okay. It is quite cheesecakey. And strawberry. It's not bad, actually. I thought it was biscuits, but it's a solid bar. We'll be sharing this because I don't want to eat the whole lot. I should have actually, but I didn't have it for the Manx Beard Club last week. I shall save some of the guys. I might put that in the fridge just to keep it extra cool and hard. Clive, thoughts on John Ward Electrical? A perfectly valid, useful channel. One day he'll see the light. After it's for me, please. Don't leave in the gutter when you defib. What? So is Basti Electronic all patched up? In the words of Bow Wow Wow, I want candy. Did they sing a song called that? Go wild, go wild, go wild in the country where snakes and grass are absolutely free. From Austin, some money to add, hold on, to the Ginger Beer Fund. Why, thank you. Don't start sending me money via PayPal. It's fine. Have you watched any videos by Colin Furze? He's very, very eccentric. It's the wonder he's not hurt himself. Well, he has hurt himself, to be honest. He burned himself quite badly when he had a problem with unsustained gas, well, uncontrolled gas release from a big tank. Grant Rennie of a parcel waiting to be shipped. Unfortunately, the local post office and postmaster passed away. I shall send some mail soon. No, that's not so great. Don't worry about sending stuff, Grant. Particularly, don't send me too much candy because the more I eat, the fatter I get, and that's not a great thing. When is the big LED panel released? You can actually find it online already, but it's actually, what's the best way to describe this? You'd have to go to bigclive.com slash A capital A 4 space gallium dot zip is where you'll find it, but it'll be released in due course. I'll update the site. I'll have to update the site. I'll have to update my shop and everything. It just and put the artworks up for the things. I just need to get round to doing that. Drink. Fanta says drink. Fanta, orangey goodness. It just doesn't look the same without the ultraviolet light, does it? The ultraviolet light makes it pop because the drink is actually matches the color of the tonic water for its blue glow. Mm. So we were talking in the last live stream about the placement of the electrode, and someone said, "What about your tits? You know, what if a woman's got breasts?" And the answer is that in the picture it shows up on the left-hand side above a breast, and the other one actually underneath the breast. That's quite good placement, really. Hold on. Stefan, £100. That's too much. Do not send money like that. Oh, thank you, but that's just too much. I'm feeling awkward now. I'm embarrassed. I'm actually feeling a slight flush of red in the face. But I was talking before that ridiculous donation. I was talking about breasts, okay. And it was lining the electrodes up. Now, the electrode system they have is quite good because it's got a, I'll show you. That's the best bit. It has a ribbon cable, and one electrode goes up here, and then you line this. This is the bit where this thing monitors chest compressions to make sure you're doing it hard enough and at the correct frequency. So this thing is a sort of pressure sense. We'll find this when I open it up. But it says line it up between your nipples, basically, this crosshair. And you know that thing, apparently they don't do that now, but they used to say count the number of fingers from the bottom of the rib cage. It is basically, it's just central to the nipples, it is where you press. But then it's got the other electrode pad in the bottom that then goes over to the side. And if it's a big person, you can actually pull it and it extends out to a further distance. Hopefully you wouldn't pull it and then it just rips off completely. But this thing, you can then, when it says apply compressions, it monitors that, and you're going, ha, 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 staying alive at that sort of speed. So, yes, it's interesting. Very complicated things, and they do monitor after every incident. These things usually keep a log file of what happened and the waveforms that were detected and the result of what happened. The ribbon cable's interesting. It's got two thick cores and then it's got smaller cores. It's a custom ribbon cable for that. That's not standard, is it? That in its own is going to be quite an expensive-ish component. I wonder if there's active electronics in here. I wonder if it's chipped. You wouldn't really want to. I don't see it though. Oh, there might be in there. But this plastic thing that plugs in has a couple of pins. Oh, that's the power pins. That's the power pins. And then there's the ribbon cable. Oh, you can see the ribbon splits there to go to the power pins. That's interesting. It's all right. We'll have to open that up as well then. I guess you wouldn't really want to improvise your own pads because if someone died, it would be a bit awkward and they said, why didn't it work? It's because my homemade pads didn't work. And it's like, I got them from Poundland. You Win Again by the Bee Gees. Not sure about that. Staying Alive. And All Them Bites the Dust and Staying Alive both work for keeping BPM. Right. Guys, don't send money. Mike Potts has just sent a generous 1 penny, all of which will have been kept by PayPal, with the message, lol. Well, thanks for that, Mike. That was very generous of you. PayPal will love you for it. That's the thing. When people make a contribution by PayPal, they up to a certain point, they take the whole lot. You don't get a penny. I think it's about 36 pence before you actually get pennies after that. Oh, it's Nelly the elephant. Okay, that for the pattern. That's a reasonable good timing. I did know that Grant Imahara unfortunately passed away. I wonder what caused that. Mike wants a shirt back. Mike sent a shirt specifically for the channel to get it here. But someone once sent a whole string of contributions in tiny little penny values with an individual a letter of the alphabet each time. I thought I actually got suspicious that it was something that some new scamming on PayPal, but they were trying to. I think they were trying to send the message penis or something like that, and then they spelt it wrong. Then they stopped doing it after that because they'd just blown the joke. He died of a brain aneurysm, yeah, but what caused that? Why did he? Was it connected to the virus, or was it just something that he just didn't know? That's less than YouTube takes, though. Yeah, I suppose so. Big Clive shirts. Big Clive shirts, that will eventually come, but ultimately you're going to go with the logo to your local shirt maker and they'll make one for you. So no matter what happens. What powers that heart thing? Lithium, replaceable lithium cells. Yeah, see, right, guys, I'm going to mute the phone now, okay? Grant has sent a fiver. Thanks, Grant Rennie. And 38p from Mr. Defiance. I have to be careful here because some of these could be other transactions with things. Hold on. Hold on. Right, don't send anymore. Don't send anymore. It would actually be easier. It would be easier doing super chat. No, guys, stop. Internet's being slow as heck. Would you like an On It Technologies t-shirt, Clive? I quite like this. This came about because of the American work shirt. You know the classic. You may have seen the one before. It said, "Was it?" It wasn't. It wasn't. What was the other one? Eddie? No, it was. Right. See, no, don't. This is just. So that's John Oath, Daniel Meek, Christian Zilker. Nice generous one, 25 from Colin. Back to that, the one that's still prominently visible is the 100 from Stefan. But they're opening that now. It wants me to enter my PIN and validation codes and everything. Oh no. Greg, who worked at Greg's. Greg, indeed, Greg. That's the one, the name. But yeah, it was the work shirts, the American work shirts with these particular logos. No, let's not. Guys, that's enough. Right, I'm going to put the phone through another room now, okay? I'll read current contributions, but Alan Hilton, Bespoke, something, David, John Oath, Daniel. Right, putting it through another room now. Don't send any more. It's fine. HMRC are getting suspicious now. Please no super chat. It's garbage. And suddenly Clive's a millionaire. Don't make me a millionaire. I don't want to be a millionaire. It's just money causes more problems than it's worth. I'm quite happy just bumbling by. It's quiet tonight without the NBC members. Yes, but we're able to talk about technology. Some of you hate the NBC ones. Some of you love the NBC ones. Each has its own particular market. I can hear the phone still ring in the background. It's out the way. And it's done it again. A £10 on air. Like those guys, they were fun. Yes, they were very drunk. They were raking through my stuff. And do you remember last week? And they pulled out June pulled out the insect bat, and then he pulled out the puzzle book, and I was like, "Whoa, not the puzzle book!" Do you want me to show you why? Hold on. He was just about to open. He was just about to open the puzzle book, and if he had, all the transparencies that I keep inside it, in between each set of pages, would have poured out onto the carpet. I'm trying to keep them dust free and keep them flat in here, so they'd have just been everywhere if he'd opened the puzzle book. That's why that was about that. It's not a naughty puzzle book. The phone, guys, stop contributing. It's fine. Don't send more money. I'm not one of these shallow YouTubers who's always begging for cash. It's fine. Keep in mind, I am single, so my living costs are very low, particularly when you get cheap rum and you add blue food color and chemical flavoring to it, and it's like, yay, that's all I need. Unless the costs of hours of entertainment are literally a handful of LEDs. Well, how much did those LEDs cost? It was 1,000 LEDs for $20. Which is ridiculous. That's literally 2 cents an LED, and there's about 230 or something like that, 240. And then the circuit board itself is quite big. The circuit board is not hold on. The circuit board is not the biggest I've had made. Hold on, let's compare them. Actually, yeah. So this is my Scorpio. Hold on. Is there anything on here I don't want seen? Not really. It was made for creative sounds and lighting. But this is a Scorpio Fairground Light controller, which had the triax internal blocks. It was designed to be affordable. It was designed to be serviceable, and it uses the same system of having it's single-sided, but has quite dense track layout because it has an EEPROM with multiple blocks of memory and it's clever stuff with zero crossing point detection and everything, but direct triac drive through a ULN 2803 with snubber networks on it as well. It's pretty good and big heat sinks. So this was one of the biggest circuit boards I had made, and it is actually bigger than this. The difference is that I was able to get 3 of these made very cheaply at GLC PCB. This one, on the other hand, I had to order a min of 100, and at the time they were about £25 each. That was a lot of money back then. That was a long time ago. When was that? Hold on, I'm just going to look for a date. Unimator Scorpio copyright, blah, 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 blah. 1998 is when I made this. Good card, useful card. Quite time-consuming to build because it had to go into a specific case that was quite hard to get in the end. Things I've learned in my life: never design your circuits to go into a very specific type of case unless you know that case is going to be available for a long time. Did it work? Yes, it did. The controller worked. Yes, it worked fine. Oh, Clive, I just sent you 10 Peter Johansson. Thank you. The first radio-controlled wristwatch cost me $350. Worth your weight and go. Oh, no. Jelly babies in the drawers. I think I got all the jelly babies and the biscuit. And as you saw in the video with the neon tester, I used the neon tester to actually stimulate all the lamps in the drawer at once to actually see which one was the wrong color. That was quite annoying, though. I was more concerned about them putting wet things in amongst component drawers because one of the things you're not allowed in is sweet fizzy drinks in factories, electronics factories. Did you find the magnet in one of the drawers? Yes, it was quite hard to get out the drawer, actually. And the shot glass. 3D print custom. The snag about 3D printing, it's good for small projects, but that is a really high current mains controller for fairground lighting. So it wasn't going to be that. It's 8 channels at least 5 amps a channel. Any plans to test more military rations? I've still got a ration that's sent by Kim Sleep. And a couple of out-of-date British ones. I've been waiting for the NBC to kick up again, but I've got this one from Kim Sleep, which is an MRE Star. Menu 9. Pinto bean stew with ham. Sounds interesting. Is there even an expiry date on these? This was from Kim's Sleep in Canada. I don't see any dates on it. Doesn't really matter. It's a military ration. It should last forever. It worked. Everybody stopped making the phone ring. But I'll go and take a look at it afterwards and see who did contribute. Expired 1999, but I would it stop me eating it. Clive, you better enjoy your cheap alcohol here in South Africa. It's been temporarily banned. Like alcohol full stop. Really? Or just the cheap stuff? Lovely sky to the north in Glasgow tonight. Is it clear? On the island, we this area is called a sort of dark skies area. It's got a very dark sky, and I was out dropping some mail off just before I went to bed, just because so it got picked up in the first post, and there was a really bright light, and I thought it was up on top of the mountain, but it turned out it might have been on the space station or something. I'm not really sure. I had a 3D printer for 2 years so far. I've printed one Pikachu and a 2 centimeter cube. That happens. I got my 3D printer and I printed some test objects, but it took a while. Then I found Thingiverse and then I printed some things. But then I suddenly just clicked with OpenSCAD, the script-based system. Flying ant next to the green. Is there a flying ant? I don't know. It's possible. I've noticed quite a few flying ants around looking for entrance to the place. You can currently see more and more SpaceX sats. They really span the skies. That's going to be interesting. Big Clive, when are you making more songs? I should try that. I need a more powerful system. The reason I stopped making music was because Apple sent a downgrade to the iPad I used, and it just stopped that app working. It couldn't handle the same number of instruments. It just loaded shit tons of apps that I didn't want with no way to remove them. It's just what they do. Um, but I'll maybe look to getting a decent Android tablet, maybe, or my phone, but it's just a bit small. What you made music? What did I miss? If you just a couple of tracks. Well, I made more than that, but I didn't release some of them because I was a bit. Yeah, I didn't like the other ones. But was it so much YouTube, no time for sleep is the main one? More of the story, don't use Apple. Well, they're reasonably competent things, but their attitude towards obsoleting older ones is just annoying. Buddy Van Doodle and Wilding Gun, indeed. Any chance to get a Clive reject PCB as a keepsake? Well, you don't need reject PCBs. You can buy the PCBs from using the files that I'm putting up on my website. You can get small batches made of official Big Clive things. FL Studio on Android is good. That's good because that's what I used FL Studio on the iPad. The other thing about the iPad, it's really hard getting your music back off it. It forces you into the Apple way of doing things, which if you're used to Android, it takes a bit of getting your head round. There must be easy ways of doing it, but I couldn't really find them. And you just ended up like faffing around for ages. And there was the cheap pink USB charger from China song. It's almost Jaeger time, but only in 2 minutes. Files app has sold a lot of that in the iPad phone. That would be good because that's something that was missing, was just something to gain access to the files because do you dislike Windows? Well, I have to say, I've always used Windows, right? But it's become so annoying recently to the point it's become so unusable. Driver problems, that thing that it does when the point you go and turn the computer on, it's obvious you're going to use it right at that point. And unless you actually disable updates, it will just hog all the processing power for just about an hour doing updates. Very annoying, very badly designed. No, I'm not going to turn the stream into a Hate Apple show because we could hate Apple and Microsoft and Android for some things, but they're not too bad. Do you do vehicle mechanics? That sounds dirty. It's like, do I shag vehicle mechanics? I'll do vehicle repairs to a degree, Mike and Co. If needs be. I don't mind taking bits of engines apart, just as long as it doesn't render the vehicle completely unusable afterwards. Do you watch Jim Browning's Scam Baiter? No. Win 10 is crap. One of my computers I did upgrade to Win 10, or is it an upgrade? It was on a terrible Windows system before, so it couldn't be worse, but it was takes a bit of getting used to. Linux is possibly the way it's going to be in the future. Linux Mint, indeed, the super tight, compact, bloat-free Linux is possibly what's going to happen. But Windows are basically turning people to Linux by just Microsoft are doing that by making Windows. It's not just switching from one version of Windows to the next. It's like a completely different operating system, and you might as well just go and just embrace Linux then because it's slicker. What do I drive? Still got my mum's old Lada, but I gave my van to my brother ages ago because of his work. My Ford Transit van. Shot time, Clive. It is shot time now. Time for another Jaeger shot. I don't think this one will light very well with ultraviolet. Hold on, let's Jaeger with ultraviolet does absolutely nothing. You get a slight purple rim, and that's it. Medicinal. Hold on, I'll have a bit of communion wafer as well here. I'll have strawberry cheesecake communion wafer. And this is where people complain about the fact I'm talking while eating. No, actually, Lada. It's not Lada. It's Skoda Fabia. That's what it is. Shout out to Doug Stanhope. Okay. Is a transit van the hearse? Well, technically speaking, it's a plain grey transit van, so it could get used as what they call a private ambulance. If you ever see vehicles running around with marked private ambulance and it's basically a transit van, it's used to pick up bodies. When can we see the basement? Basement. The basement here is basically an area under the floor, though having said that, the area under me at the moment is a bit deeper than the rest of the house. The rest of the house is about that deep under the floor. I'm going to try Ubuntu again because I really need to. Or Ubuntu or another Linux version of Linux because, yeah, I may just run it off a memory stick or an external drive. Clive, shows your basement. What is this? Is this some smutty, dirty talk? Oh, the trouser basement? No. God, you're so perverted. That's good. Bongo. Linux Mint is the one that's popping up a lot. People are saying Linux Mint is good. CentOS feels far slicker. Ubuntu is for chumps. So here's the thing, like, it'd be nice if they standardized in one version of Linux, but of course it's got its different followings. What they did with Ubuntu is pretty good, that they made it into a supported operating system effectively. Get the pocket elephant out, says Stevie C. Okay, I've not heard that one. How are the cats? The cats are fine. They've been, every time I open the door, they decide to come in to have a good scratch, and it's a sort of Hessian carpet stuff when you come in. Is it Hessian? It's that rough, fibrous doormat type stuff, but the whole entrance area is floored with that. And the cats just, as soon as they put their paws in it, they can't resist getting them into it. So I'm trying to catch it. It's whizzing up. It's not too bad. Pinball basement. Oh, it's not really what I'd call a basement. It's downstairs, but by downstairs there are two stairs. It's like literally, it would be like down here. Which means the ceiling does get a bit further away, which is reassuring. But there's not a lot to see in here. There's a tumble dryer, there's 3 pinball machines, there's the sewing machine sitting in one, there's the ultraviolet exposure unit, lots and lots of technical junk, lots of LED neon stuff, and a big Narnia wardrobe, and one of the Gillian's Diamonds lamp, which has just been sitting there for ages, just running all the time. Shows around your workshop where you pull the items, bitch. Keep saying that, but I'm just too shy to show my clutter. As June was trying to show last week and kept going around, looking around, going, "Oh, look at the state of it." It's like, oh, that's my secret. Yeah, Linux Mint with the Cinnamon desktop is very like Windows, but nicer and cheaper to set up. The main thing is that the two bits of software that I'm most likely to use are MPLab IDE for my, but the old version, it's like MPLab 8, because I just, MPLab X was just a no-go for me. It was just like, hey, rip up everything you've done already and start from scratch in this completely bloated environment. But that and the circuit board maker. The technically speaking, if I switch to the online system, the EDA, is it Easy EDA that JLC PCB use? If I switch to using that, then I could design my circuit boards online from anywhere, from any system, but I'm not sure about that. How much is my lecky bill per month? It only works out about £100 a month because, and most of that is dehumidifiers, just keeping the place dry. MPLab X is crap, but X works okay in Linux now. Okay. Yeah, MPLab X is just huge. I do appreciate it's very versatile, but it's just huge. It's bloated. It's like getting Windows the first time, never having used it before, and it's like you're like, oh, I must write some software, and it asks awkward questions. Even version 8 asks awkward questions like, do you want your code relative or what is it, relative or fixed or something? And I'm saying, I don't even know what it means by that. I chose the wrong one and then the code was unusable. I think fixed would have been better. KiCad. I'll give KiCad a go again. I've tried it before, but it was when it was young. I need to get used to it. But keep in mind, the way I design things is very different to how other people do it. I'll show you again the circuit board here. Because most of my circuit boards are sort of, some of them are computerized, but some of them are decorative like this. And all I had to design this circuit board was one of these, and then copy and paste it next to it, see how it's going to fit, nudge values of positions of components, add the bus bars, or in this case, add the little tails up to the bus bars, then copy that one there, paste it all the way along, uh, and then add the bus bars along that, copy that whole block, and then paste it all the way down. It didn't take long to scale that other circuit board up to this, but to actually have one of those formal, rigid printed circuit board design packages that expects you to basically give every single LED and resistor a number. There's lots on here. That would take ages. Not going to do that. So that's why I like Sprint Layout 50. I think they're on to 60 now. LMS is good open source music making software. I've never really thought of that. I've used Fruity Loop because it just worked and it seemed quite good. What other than electronics, what do you collect and or other hobbies? Workwear. I've always like the companies I've worked for always kept the workwear, or when I've seen it on eBay, there's certain overalls from certain eras that I'll buy just because of a particular style from that era. It's workwear and electronics. That's just weird, isn't it? 1.5 hertz LED wall, ideal for tripping on shrooms. Okay. I'm sure that'd be good. I think you'd see terrible things in it. I think it'd be done in KiCad in about 30 seconds. Well, that would be good if it could. If KiCad isn't too strict, if it allows you to just drop in pads and tracks, then that's fine. And if it lets you copy and rotate in increments that you can set angles, that would be good. So is Windows 10 a complete shambles now? To be honest, I don't use the computer that I put Windows 10 on. I'm still using the old one. I'm using an old banger, what you might call a burner laptop, because I got it ages ago for traveling with work because I wanted something I could take with me, but I wanted something lightish. Um, but that if it got broken with travel at work or stolen, it wouldn't bother me too much, other than, losing files on it. So I got from John Lewis in Glasgow, I got a Lenovo laptop that was greatly reduced in price because it's the one that had Superfish malware on it that they shipped with the actual computer, and it had a profound effect on the price. So I mean, it's very low power, but it's fine for things like printed circuit board design. Things like sprint layout don't consume much processing power, and even MPLAB IDE, it doesn't take long to do that. Or it runs OpenSCAD fine, although I'm guessing the rendering of the final objects in higher resolution will be faster with a more powerful computer. But Wine is not an emulator. I've looked at that as well. Last time I looked, it said it's been tested with my printed circuit board package, but it didn't actually. It had been tested some time ago and said mostly works. That's not good enough. I'm getting chat fatigue. Everyone breathe. Okay. Hmm. Hmm. I'd block the Microsoft update site at the router. Okay. Workwear. I've got a British Steel fireproof donkey jacket. I spent. I've got my British Steel overalls still because I worked in the steelworks in Scotland. OpenSCAT. That's correct, Uncle Kim. OpenSCAT. Hmm. I've got an old standing kitchen mixer and I get a fuzzy feeling when I touch the metal body. I put my meter between the case and ground that showed 80 volts capacitive leakage. Is it earthed? Yeah, that sounds like insulation breakdown. It sounds like it's not earthed or grounded in some way. And it sounds like it should be if it's got a metal case. Just be cautious about that because it may actually be at full mains voltage. But if mind you, you're saying it's case to ground, it could be interference suppression leakage, but it does sound like it's not earthed. I'd check the earth from the pin. If the plug actually has an earth pin, check for continuity between that and the case. You might find it's broken somewhere. But these days I've been taking my Chromebook with me. I see they've got a new version of this Chromebook out, but it's got an AMD processor in it. I don't know if it's faster, and maybe I should go for a faster Chromebook. Not that this one is slow, but any stretch of the imagination. This one whizzes, it's fast. Boot up time is ridiculously fast. It's not like Windows that you boot it up and then you type in your password or just go and have a cup of tea before even password option comes up. With this one, you might as well just stay that few seconds. There's the password, type password in, go and before you've even gone through for your cup of tea, it's already opened the web page, so it's instant. Yeah, the Chromebooks are amazing. But they're limited. There's the only way you could really do circuit board design them is the website type circuit board design. It won't run. It will run apps, but it won't run traditional programs. Julie and I let my Chromebook always has a flat battery. You could change the battery in it. Do you keep it charged? Yeah, it would be interesting to do a photonic live stream, but it'd be very dangerous if he did sort of come back into doing videos again. Why do some bench power supplies have an earth output but some don't? Is it necessarily useful? In some instances, yes. It's so you've got the option of grounding one side of the power supply. Some it is quite useful. I think, does mine have it? I think it's an option in the back that's got the earth term on the back of it. Intel have fallen into obscurity these days. I'm not sure. I keep getting shocks off my laptop constantly. Lightbox logos, the power supplies, like even an and MacBook Pro power supply, if it's not got a ground, will give you a tingle just because of the interference suppression and capacitive coupling. What Chromebook would you recommend brand-wise? This is an Acer and it's been very good. It's got a big screen, it's 15.6-inch screen, and the battery lasts for ages. It's mostly battery inside, and it's fairly serviceable. It's pretty good, and it's loud as well on its internal speakers. The only thing it's got a slight thing is, looking at my phone, the skin tone is warmer. That I noticed that when I first got this, it seems a slightly colder color temperature on the screen. I don't know if there's adjustment over that. Maybe I should have actually looked at that. I've never really seen it in the menus. Windows flies now even in low-end laptops. If you pop in it, all right, okay. The solid state disks, yeah, that is good. But certainly with the old versions of Windows, that would just minced the first solid state drives. You have to allow for the fact you occasionally have to swap the solid state drive and copy your video from one to the other. All right. Chipmunk says, I kept getting zapped by a desktop 486 back in the day. Earthpin was disconnecting the plug and there was about 125 in the case of the PC. That was the uh, decoupling the power supply to the earth, the interference suppression, which would pass enough current to give you quite a zap. Yeah. Mark Pritt says, drink. I should drink. Should drink more. Mm. But this Chromebook has a solid state drive in it. I have changed that because as they get older, I get the feeling they're trying to say it's time to buy a new Chromebook because little quirks do appear with updates, and one in particular that's annoying with this is that the drive app doesn't update as fast as, if you go online to the drive, it's updated, but the app on the computer doesn't update fast. And also sometimes it doesn't display all the thumbnails, even though it's there. You can see the outline of where it should be. It's just a bit annoying, but that's just I think they're basically saying, yeah, the computers, you need a new one. Built-in obsolescence indeed, Scott. Mm. Damn, I hate typing on mobile. It is terrible. I sometimes wake up in the morning before I get out of bed. I'll take a look at comments, but I can't really reply to the comments because it takes so long to actually do it on the phone versus actually coming to a proper keyboard and doing it. It would save a lot more time. Have you seen Beetlecam? 5 frames per second black and white video camera streaming to a phone mounted on an actual Beetle? I've not seen that. Ian, too, I don't trust Google. Well, I don't trust MD really, but Google is the best of a bad batch. It's fine. Human Seagull, I had a sad within a month from brand new. What was that? Do you know why Apple Power supplies can be earth, but only on the extension cables, not the plug adapters? I noticed that they've got that little metal lug that allows it to be earth, but it's not as standard. I think it's just because it's of the arrangement that it's designed to be um, versatile for the different countries, and a surprising number of countries don't have the earth. I had the Scion in the pop-up case, says Uncle Kim. I had a Scion organizer too. It got very scuffed up. I used to use it at work to track technical tasks. One day, they just put carpet in one of the jobs, and I opened the thing up, and it got we were getting static shocks. Static killed it. These days, I'd go and fix it now because it probably just one chip had died. But having said that, the Scion organizer was very useful, but it's not really what you'd call current these days. My Scion 3C has that rubber coating. The silicon rubber does basically just degrade into just sticky goo after a while. Did you see the 12K 60 frames per second camera from Blackmagic? I didn't. That sounds extreme. That sounds pretty good. It had a two-line display. It was something like, was it 16 or 32 characters per line? It was pretty limited and very dull, greeny LCD. Most mechanically completely failed too. So Scion, what else did they do? The Scion organizer. Quite cutting edge at the time. Do you watch Dad Gone Wild? I occasionally watch his videos. Haven't seen one in a while. I had someone send me quite a rude message saying I was in breach of copyright because I'd copied one of Dad Gone Wild's videos. I told them to go and check the dates, and then they replied, "Oh, yeah." Clashing with Louis Rossman. Okay, have both open. One in open two windows. Select Clive, the company while I'm coding my smart home stuff says Disco Ball 1. Okay. Tried to revive sticky rubber codes with formic acid? Formic acid? Worked to an extent. Alright, okay. I think I'd really just want to basically get the stuff off them. Add in your refrigeration, air conditioning. Have you done much HVAC work? I worked with Hussman for a while, doing industrial refrigeration in supermarkets. Joe Bellado, how did Ralphie like his clicker? He likes his clicker a lot. He puts on a big show when he's using it. Scion hosted software for Sinclair's. All right, okay. The 2 mega. Oh yeah, I remember now. Now that you say that, Mark, the 2 megabyte memory card for 200 quid on the Scion organizer had little cartridges that plugged in, and inside, if you opened up, it was just the memory chip inside. But it was really expensive for the memory. But then memory was expensive that time. It really was. Like even in computers, the memory inside them, it was just. It's the one bit that took ages to come down, and then suddenly the market collapsed, and the premium rate that was being charged for memory was it came down to sensible levels for RAM. Clive's time industrial refrigeration was eventful. It was indeed, Redhead Forrester. Lots of big bangs and shocks and things like that. It was big stuff, and it was generally working live because you can't just go into a supermarket and turn all the refrigeration off. Lockout, tag out, defrost everything. Oh no. And you kind of need it on to test it as well. RAM prices fluctuate massively. It's all supply and demand and racketeering, isn't it? How long's the beard and how long to grow? This is at roughly term length. I had to trim the bottom off after a little drone incident recently, but this is more or less it. It goes down to about nipple height normally. 3 or 6 days, 1 meg was £25. Yeah. Oh, I remember that. My first PC was a 486. Or was it? Yes. But it was the basic 486. It was like just one nudge up from the 386. I'd say about a blinky panel with the LEDs in the hexagonal arrangement instead of square. Not really sure. Are we talking basically just like that then? I'm not sure how different that would look. Yeah, not really. Don't know. I still have to look at these from a distance and decide which of these two is the best, the coloured one or the red and blue one. I think the colour one's quite nice. The reds and yellows are actually showing up quite well, even though they're all running at the same current. I thought the blues and greens would swap them out, 'cause certainly the green is a very bright colour, but it's not bad. Is it really having a good colour changing effect? I can see this sort of purpley blobs and reds and blues moving around in the red and blue one. I'll have to look at them from a distance and see which is the best. It always looks different when you make it at larger scale. Lockout, tag out, lockout, Loto, lockout, thaw out. That's it. No fire tonight. We've had bits of fire, but we can have more fire. Thank goodness no more defrost in freezers. Hussman, it was long hours, but it was quite good. The 486, it was the 486 SX25. Pretty sure that was the one from, where was it from? Lachlan Computers in East Kilbride. I've still got that computer. It's just that thing. It's very hard to let go of your first big computer. I remember when I got it home, I was so used to the command line interface of like the ZX Spectrum and the QL and so on, that when I got a first real computer, the PC, it was almost a bit daunting at first. But then you get used to it after a while. Then I'd do batch files to start the computer up just how I liked it. Colored is messy, 2 colors sequence. Yeah. Maybe in a larger scale it would look better. But I do like the single color. I like the green. That's very good. It's chaotic and it's got interesting patterns move across it. And it's always changing. Too densely packed? I don't think so. I think that number of LEDs works pretty well. And very low power. How can I tame down the brightness of the blue gallium board? Stick some diodes and sears the power supply to it, and each one will drop about 0.6 to 1 volt, and that will have a significant effect on the resistors. Or if you're building a new one, you can, by default, you can use higher value resistors. This one is using 1K resistors. Those ones are using 220 ohm resistors. The colour one's more definition says Erdenshire. Yeah. I think the only way to find out is to build a large scale one. I wonder what the tolerance is in the hertz of the LEDs. You can see how fast they go out of sequence. If I reset the green one, you can see that it's roughly the same speed, but it very quickly goes out of sequence. And the same goes for the other ones. And the blue and red. Yeah. Quark says my first computer was a ZX80. I had the ZX80 when I almost got the ZX80. Do you know, I was watching a music video. It was who did Safe and Sound? Capital Cities. And they had a music video where it's some guy's garage sale and he's got all the old stuff, including an old Commodore PET computer. And the Commodore PET computers were an early computer and they looked space age. They had the case would come across flat and then it would go down at an angle like that and then duck in. And then there was a wee pillar lifting the monitor up. And they looked so futuristic. But I wanted a Commodore PET when I was young. I almost talked my parents into spending £400, £399 on a Commodore PET. Then the ZX81 came out. They said, "Oh, we'll get you one of those instead." And it was like, oh. But at least the ZX81 didn't do what the ZX80 did. When you pushed a button, any keyboard button in the ZX80, it took all the processing power away and blanked the screen. It wouldn't actually keep the screen running when you pressed a button. So the screen would flicker and then it would do that rolling thing until it locked again. I didn't. Well, someone's mentioning Lightbox Logos mentioned the person who used ping pong balls with the addressable LEDs in them. You can get video walls that look like ping pong balls, but it's really heavy industrial construction. But they just hang like chains of balls from the ceiling, and they can display. In fact, you can see at one of the Disney parades, the Paint the Night. I think they've got those balls, but they've actually got a huge matrix in 3-dimensional, so it can actually rotate objects in 3 dimensions inside it. Airy Hoot says, "Good evening, Clive." Good evening. Ping pong ball frames. I tried that. It wasn't very exciting. It was supposed to be like that paint that's very nitrocellulose, but the ones I got didn't seem to burn that well. Big Clive, we both went for ZX81 to QL. I went ZX81 to Spectrum, then QL, but the QL was very good. BitLooney did this. I think that's the one I saw. Make a plasma ball. The problem with plasma ball is actually getting the vacuum in the glass globe. Get some indoor fireworks. Who needs indoor fireworks? I do have smoky paper. The smoky paper's quite nice. I'll get some smoky paper and add a smoky ambience. Hold on. Caramel candy fizzing paper. I don't know if this is the one with sugar or not. I made a video about this. It's a bit of typing paper that's soaked in a potassium nitrate solution and a sugar solution, and you put it in a little metal tray like this, and when you light it, it will basically smolder, giving off a really nice smelling fireworky smoke. It will just smolder the whole length. It will literally, everything will burn. There'll be just ash left in the plate after a while. It's very nice. Like, it is like incense. In fact, if you rub this with, well, you can rub it with either uh, essential oils, and it'll actually, as it approaches them, it'll vaporize them off in a cloud of vapor. Or you can also rub it with e-liquids and it'll actually vaporize the e-liquid and you'll get a plume of the sort of fruity flavored fog comes off it. Like a miser's joss stick in a way, but it's more useful than a joss stick in the sense it doesn't stick the place out that way, but it will just progressively burn all the way across. I'll just hold it here while it burns its way across. Can you get barbecue flavor? You probably could. Just hold it, and then once it gets to your fingers, you'll get barbecue flavor. This stream tonight has had robot voicing. Wonder if it's the LEDs. It could be. If the voice goes a bit robotic, then try refreshing the page. I like that smell. It smells woody, which is not really surprising because it is paper. And makes hissing noises as it goes across. This is inspired, as mentioned in that video, by an Indian mosquito papers that you light the papers in the same way. It's soaked with transfluthrin oil, and it vaporizes the transfluthrin into there. See, that is completely burnt away to just nothing. Not as exciting as flaming things. Like, say, for instance, cylinders of butane, lighter gas, upside down with a nozzle in the end for a maximum whoosh. That's good. I like that. That's about the maximum whoosh we're going to get. Although I do like my the rapidly dwindling air freshener, but I'm really running out. And the worst thing is, it's quite a nice smell as well. It smells like sherbet, and it does. It's very woomphy, but I don't want to waste too much because I'm running out of it. But it's very boomy. Can we see the skid mark in the ceiling? It's not really that visible. It's just slight darkening. I think that was mainly when I was setting fire to Kevin. Can you get citronella spirals on Amazon? I think I have some citronella spirals here. They're quite big, chunky things, but they say don't use them indoors. Not to stop me. Try setting powdered lycopodium on fire. Lycopodium powder is used in the event industry for where you're not allowed liquid fuel. You have systems that will blow the fine powder out. They've got a hopper, and there's some of them are mechanical that will actually try and feed it in with a little screwdriver, but a lot of them just rely on the air catching it and blowing it out, but they're a bit unreliable that way. But they do create big fireballs, but with no liquid. On the basis that the liquid can't, if you just got a big pile of lycopodium, I don't know if it would burn or not on its own. Can you light flour? Well, I could light flour. Maybe in the future I'll empty the foamy woofler. I'll actually put flour into it and see if I can get some powder out, but it's a bit wet at the moment. So that would just make the powder all moist. Where's MM2? I don't know. Tantalum caps? I don't even know if I've got tantalum caps here. How's the Sharp filters doing? The Sharp, the little ionizer modules, they're doing okay. I'm running the unit through there. It's actually on at the moment at low power. Coffee whitener or calf feed, dairy calf feed. Where's your board that we see all the videos on? It is through there. Try blowing flour onto a lit candle. It causes a nice long red flame. Drip petrol slowly into a 5-pound bag of flour. Not sure whether that would do. Minky Moo 2, hi, I've been busy, have a tug. Right, I hope you had a good tug. Favorite WWE wrestler of all time? Mine is The Undertaker. Not really sure about the wrestlers. Not sure would tricky. Gold. What is it? Can't remember these names when I try and remember them. Sam Goldstein. No, I can't remember. I know that certainly Tank Abbott is my favorite fighter of all time. But I don't watch an awful lot of that, really. Ralph used to love watching the wrestling when he was young, when it was like Big Daddy and Mick McManus and things like that. Slow-mo guys did thermite into water today. That would be quite explosive when it hits. Shirley Crabtree, indeed. The Big Daddy. Giant Haystacks was impressive too, just for his scale and size. Big Daddy, old school spandex. Funny, he must have been a pioneer in spandex. That was a long time ago. It's a wonder it stood up to the abuse. Need to make a kerosene woofler. Not really sure how well that would go. There's the only one way to find out, I suppose. Nice shirt, Clive. This came from Mike. Can you guess it came from Mike? Have you seen the amazing quadcopter light shows? Yes, I have. But a lot of the ones that they put on are not done above an audience because they can't, because there's always a risk that one of the quadcopters is going to drop out of the sky and land on people. Have I ever tried hallucinogenic mushrooms? I have not. I've not tried much of their drugs. I'm a bit boring that way. Partly because anything that modifies your brain doesn't seem like a good idea. eBay sells for lycopodium powder. Really? I'll have to check that out. Have you ever made napalm with styrofoam petrol? I have, but I'm not convinced that that's what they originally made it out of. I think that sounds more like a what do they call that? The terrorist cookbook type thing like that. Have I ever fired the Edinburgh gun? No. We are much louder than the Edinburgh gun. We have considered uh, we have considered firing a large explosive charge approximately 30 seconds before the 1 o'clock gun just out of badness. Have I ever tried flying racing quads? I've not. Now, Glasgow has prop nuts, and is it FPV, Glasgow FPV, or so Scottish FPV? Which their things are absolutely crazy. Yeah, our Anarchist Cookbook, Jolly Roger's Cookbook. There's so many names for it. It's just the same stuff, and it's not that great. How do you manage to find your tat on eBay? I hunt for eBay deeply for tat. Need a license now to fly my quads. That is annoying, but I know they're doing more and more of that. Looking for any way to get their finger in the pie. Have you any phobias? I don't like a water tank with dark water in it, welling up, really surging water in it. It just scares the shit out of me. I think that's because I used to hate the toilet system when I was young because it was really loud. It was one of those ones that you'd make a loud screaming, squealing noise. And you're a kid, that's not pleasant. And my mum decided the best way to get me over that was to make me. She took lid off the system and made me watch it fill, and didn't really help that much. Have you been approached by Wallstick about sponsorship? I saw it as a sponsor on another site. Wondered. I get approached by a lot of people looking for sponsorship, but I don't accept sponsorship. eBay has to be 12 hours, yes, but it's worthy. You occasionally find the tat you're looking for when you find those magic keywords. And then when you find the thing you were looking for that you spent ages, then it recommends loads of them afterwards because it has those keywords and it kind of recognizes them. Any chance of doing some audio projects? It's a specialist area. I don't really do much. And everything's gone kind of digital now, hasn't it? I mean, the MP3 players, yes, and sequencing, but I'm not so sure. Have you ever heard of submechanophobia? I've not. What's that? Another thing I don't like is I wouldn't say I'm claustrophobic, but I don't like being in super locked in tight spaces. That's not great. But no other real phobias that I can think of that would cause major panic. Do you like your black view more than the Cat S61? I have to say yes, because it's just so much faster. I wish Bullet would put a faster processor in the same case, even if they call it Cat S61 Plus. I wish they'd upgrade it because it's actually showing its age. It works fine. Mystery Crumble, I'm sorry you're unsubscribing because I'm ignoring your questions and spotted your questions. You don't like bugs. I'm fine with bugs. I don't mind a few spiders around the place, things like that. I'm not too bothered by them. But I don't even mind wasps or bees as long as they don't suddenly attack me. Any advice what to sell on eBay to make money? What do you have that's unique to sell? Could you use your glasses to start a fire with direct sunlight? Yes, they can be used to set fire to things. I've done that in the past when I was young. I have a fear of dying my birthday, apparently quite common. That is strange. There's a question I could there's a question I could ask you guys that I think is a real thing. When you were young, did you think you had an expiry date, and what was it? I thought I was going to be dead before the age of 35. And I was talking to Vince, the crew chief, and he said I had the same thing. And talking to other people since then, they said the same, that it's almost like we have an expiry date from something in the past that we were supposed to expire after a certain time. 30 seems it. 21's too low. I still don't think I'll make it past 55. I made it past 55. Yeah, 42, 30. Yeah, the 30 and 40 are coming up predominantly. But some of the numbers are quite high here. 35 was mine when I was younger. I wonder what triggers that. I wonder if it is a kickback to the past that the humans are designed to operate as a sort of, shall we say, the beehive sort of effect, where after we've achieved our physical purpose, we're supposed to be useless and rendered rubbish. But that doesn't apply anymore. It doesn't apply anymore because technology has changed. It's not just menial work now. Humans are naturally meant to live to their 30s, in my opinion. That would make sense. It's a bit cynical, but certainly the company I served my apprenticeship used to let go of people around about 35 because they felt that was them past their best, which is a bit cruel. Hmm. Yeah, it was 30 in Logan's Run, oh, so it was. That's when they got put into the big insecticutor. Hmm. But yes, I think there is a trigger age, and people sometimes, I wonder if that's what triggers that dark moment in people's lives. Because it's basically your body saying, right, oh, that's it. You're not supposed to live beyond this point in reality. Because technology has changed, yes, that's just a remnant from the past. So how old am I? 55. Hmm. So I managed to get past 35, which was on the millennium. Varrob88. Final question to Gallum, I promise, but do you have the glass in your frames? Because mine, the LEDs poke out almost level the frame front. I don't have the glass in the frames. I take the glass out and then put the circuit board in place of the glass. Another thing I did with these, instead of drilling a hole in the back, I actually just used a hole punch to cut a wee sort of recess at the bottom, because then you don't have to thread the cable through it. You can actually just put the frame in and it grips it. So that's actually a better way of doing it. I think it's a better way of doing it. Let's put this up the right way. That would work better. Hmm. Interesting effects. Ah, so you cut the recess out your snips, and yep, that makes sense. I know, 55, you're stifling. I was 57 2 days ago. That means you're very old. Mensky, what is the 28 clue? What? Shh, don't tell MD I'm Mensky. You're overdue for, I'm well overdue for carousel. I shorted it out, actually. It's a very strange thing, the Logan's Run. Very strange. I've seen snippets of it, but never the full film. Yeah, is it Uncle Duncan's shack? It's just jumped again. As soon as you touch it, as soon as you go, all right, let's take a look at that, it jumps. Um, oh, yeah, I can't find it. Lorne sausage or link sausage, black pudding or white? Black pudding and Lorne sausage is preferred. It's nicer. Although link sausages are quite nice in their own right. The novel is actually quite different from the film. That does sometimes happen. If you insert controller before the main wire, you can set a new motion of the LEDs. If you mean just cutting it off and then restart it again to reset it. Did you fear dying due to World War III being young in the 80s? Well, there's a lot of hysteria about back then. There was the whole thing about, how the Russians are going to bomb us and nuclear terror and stuff like that. But it was all hype. Try a nice vibrant red beard. I'll stick to the black for a while, but maybe red next time, don't know. Not lurid red, though. There is no sanctuary. Boom. I know you expect to feel like an adult. I definitely don't feel like an adult. I never grew up. Midnight Joker, I'm Mike, and so is my wife. Ah. White pudding deep fried. See, what white pudding? Is that really just flour? And I don't know what's in white pudding. I'd have to look that up. What comes to mind is those dog poos that used to be white. They don't do them anymore. It's like they've changed something about dogs. I'm gonna have more liquor. Blue. I was going to make a video about how these work, but it's very hard showing you how they work because it happens so quickly. You tip them up, the ball bearings inside, they it doesn't show you. It's not like it holds a full measure, and when you tip it up, it preloads the next measure. It When you tip it up, it floods the chamber before the ball can drop, and then the ball sinks through the liquid. So it depends on the viscosity of the liquid. It's a complex little thing. Strange little measures, but they work very well. They're fairly consistent, but not up to pub standard. For those wondering, by the way, Lorne sausage on building sites predominantly, and any sort of general sort of fried snack shop, if you can ask for a rolling sausage or a bappin sausage, it might be in our places, or a bread disc, like a mini loaf but hand sized. It has so many different names. They call it a bap here. But the sausage that they supply in Glasgow is square. It's like cut from a huge square slab where they basically just pressed all the sausage meat into a mold, and they slice it off, and they lay it on the griddle, and then they fry it. It's very nice. Strimmer didn't know over me. People call it roll and slice in Greenock. But certainly sausage and egg rolls were very good. The egg would generally end up down the beard when you tried eating them. Uh-huh. Red is a bad dye color. It sticks to your bed sheets, pillows, and it's off to take a shower with it. Okay. This dye is permanent dye. It doesn't, it stays put. And I'm going to let it grow out again. You can see the ginger at the top is working its way through again. Isn't that stuff overly? It's just jumped again. Is it overly salty? Yes, it's quite salty. It's not healthy at all. The square sausage. It is basically just leftover meaty extracted substances just compressed into a solid pack. Sausage baps in Bucks Road are amazing. Really? So where's that from in Bucks Road? I'm kind of still missing in Douglas the subway. I used to go routinely through every Thursday and go for a big long walk from Portjack along the front of the seafront in Douglas and go for my subway sandwich. It was a routine. Then to Poundland. Wow, what a night, what a day. It's like a trip to the big city. But since they closed that shop, right, and the Subway sandwich shop, I've not really done it so many times now. Who bothers with measures at home? I do because I like to ration and control it. Otherwise, I end up feeling bleh. Is that water? It's kind of water. It's not. It's tonic water. Let me demonstrate with ultraviolet. Pow. Egg ends up in your beard, on the lap, all down the front overalls. It ends up everywhere. Would you like me to burst it or would you like to wear it? They shut our Subway too. I used to be a regular. I used to eat at Subway all the time. In Glasgow, when I'm back visiting or when I'm at the tattoo in Edinburgh, I'll eat this Subway every day. It's a really good balanced meal. So is Glasgow, are the shops open yet in Glasgow? Is the city opening up again? Yeah, McDonald's calling it the sausage and egg McMuffin. The breakfast McMuffin. Why are your McDonald's more expensive than Isle of Man? Everything's expensive in Isle of Man because it's a restricted market and they have to ship the stuff across. I find Subway has no taste. I just like it. I don't even get sauce put in the food. The Subway Sauchiehall Street, Glasgow is good. Sauchiehall Street, yeah. Oh, the little one just off Sauchiehall Street, or is there one on the main Sauchiehall Street? I usually go to the one outside Central Station on Union Street, or the one on St Vincent Street next to George Square. I feel like I want everything in my sandwich and Subway. I usually say everything except jalapeno, but no sauce. And usually just something like ham or ham and turkey. I like Subways, they're very good. Logan's Run had a cool prop that worked. Was it calcium carbide that worked on? The Sandman guns. And was it a glow plug? I know they were super unreliable. I didn't know they were calcium carbide, but they actually shot little flames out the front. I thought it was a little cylinder of gas they had in them, but I could be wrong. I didn't too until I saw the calories. The calories in the sandwiches aren't too bad unless you get things like the meatball marinara or stuff like that. They're relatively healthy. The St. Vincent one was indeed the meetup Subway. That's the one we got chucked out of because the first Glasgow meet was there. Now, how many people are on the Isle of Man? Should we do an Isle of Man meet? Because I don't see me getting back to Glasgow or other places like London for a while. So we'll have to see how this goes. The Edinburgh meet isn't going to happen. Clive, should use your 3D printer make a UV base lit base your glass. I was thinking that actually, that I could do that. Glasgow has a lot of subways, it does indeed, and Poundlands. Glasgow is heaven. Never get a Subway toast that just ruins it. I always get it toasted. I like it toasted. The actor's not too trigger happy with them, so need to be overdubbed. Oh, the actors got too trigger happy. They'd be playing with it all the time. Yes, calcium carbide and a little syringe of water. All right, okay, that's interesting. I shall try and give as much notice as possible when I do a meetup. But I'll often announce them in here, but people still won't see them because they just didn't see that particular video I announced it in. Maybe I should just do what I've done in the past, and actually the thumbnail of the video is actually the announcement. Livebox Lows, my first Subway last week. I've always avoided them because they don't put butter on their baguettes, but I was surprised how nice it was. Yeah, they don't put butter on them. It's not that type of sandwich. I have Annika Rice's helicopter, really? The strange thoughts of people sniffing the seat in it come to mind, but that's not right, is it? She wasn't that pretty anyway. Toasting ruins the roof of my mouth. Horrible. Oh, okay. How'd the silicon sealing of the outdoor solar cells work? It worked fine on the metal frames, but it peeled off the plastic. But it did seal out, but it does discolor, but they still pass quite a lot of light. Calcium carbide works with water to get acetine, nearly another hostile job. Hmm. You get the little miner's lamps that use the calcium carbide, and the water dripped on it to produce the gas for the bright white light. Would you consider putting your name or at least being a part of a remodded? They did a clone of the Cliff quick test, but to be honest, it's not a high volume product. I wouldn't want to do that. I didn't approve of the fact there was a clone being sold by CBC, but I think it's been removed now. But it's a niche item. It's not a standard thing. That's why they're expensive. It's like I've got another Cliff product here, and you can see that this was also very expensive, but that's because you wouldn't actually sell many of them. This is a component former. You feed the components in the top, you crank the handle, and it basically cuts and forms the components at really high speed. But this is made by Cliff, I'm pretty sure. Cliff, manufactured in UK. Very specialist, just a low volume item that was only used for specific tasks in specific factories. So yeah, they're kind of specialist stuff. Seeing Eddie Munster talking about an autistic, technically inclined son, that sounds like most of us, really. Was he wanting a shout out? Dunno. I'll have to scroll back a bit and take a wee look for that. Oh, there's Andrew Savage. RS are still doing their version of the quick test, I think. All right, okay. I wonder if they've just rebranded the Cliff one, as RS tends to do. Last order. Oh, you in the Rovers again, Human Seagull? And you got two pounds. Just greed getting £2. So the staff going to be throwing you out at the end of the night. It's 8 minutes to the end of the stream, the official ending time. We'll see if it rolls on a bit, but it's the conversation is drying off, I think, a little bit. Not sure. I really liked your 3D glasses. What? Got some glow in the water, glow in the dark blue PLA. Wonder if that would like tonic water. No, not really sure. Don't think so. How much does it cost to get to the IOM from London? Not really sure about that. You wouldn't really get across at the moment. It's all quite full on. I'm just scrolling up and down here. Sorry, just let me read some comments here. Ravenloo, that means a guy who went around sniffing bike seats, not sure true it was. It sounds like it actually would happen. There's some very, very strange people. Does Subway now have breakfast? I think they did. The sausage options where you get the sausage and egg and bacon. I usually go for that with mayonnaise on it. It's a good breakfast. I'm just scrolling down here. We use a quick test work, but it's branded as SafeLock. Is that the piano type one that's got the big white keys? I've got one of them somewhere. And just still scrolling down. Another man who Flanica writes about for treasure hunt, he's obscenely wealthy. But is he really going to be wealthy now? Look at all the films that do helicopter shots, and you'd see the helicopter shadow in the ground, but now it's all you see is a drone shadow of that. It's all being done by drones now. The helicopter market's kind of gone apart from working helicopter like line maintenance and stuff like that. I think I paid about £6 or £7 for mine from Maplins. They used to be quite cheap, but the price has gone up depending on the demand. Dancing Monkey going to do its stuff soon? I'm not really sure. Oh, good source of dungarees. Depends what you're looking for. eBay. Depends what overs you're looking for there. I can't even hear you for the racket going on down here. Yeah, I'm guessing it is quite busy. So should we have a Ramsey meetup is the question. an Isle of Man meetup. I was thinking Ramsey might be reasonable. We could do it outdoors in the Moorich Park next to a cafe. And then go for a drink afterwards if needs be, but if you were driving, that wouldn't happen. What's the best solar appliance on eBay for scavenging the panel? I'm not really sure the best bet for that, but I'm really surprised at the output of some of the little tiny Poundlandy type panels these days. Mayo for brekkie, yeah, it's just because the mayonnaise seemed to suit the egg and the bacon. It just seemed to work quite well. I'm just trying to catch up here. I'm just trying to cash. How viable do you could maybe? I don't know if you could easily 3D print a full quick test, but you could make an alternative that's fairly controlled. Alan Thomas, have you electrocuted the sausage roll yet? No, the sausage roll is awaiting electrocution. Iowa and Ireland need their own train tunnels, hate ferries. There is the discussion of them putting some sort of bridge or tunnel in, but I'm not sure that's going to happen. It's a bit strange. The old metal clip versus safe block. I remember that as well. The one with the little metal keys in it. Castleair still around? Not sure. Clive, you're never up for breakfast. In some instances I am, but my breakfast, yeah, I'm usually up quite late. Well, I am up for breakfast, but that's usually when I'm going to bed. Would you consider Dublin meetup in the future? Yes. Or Belfast. Dublin or Belfast? Not really sure. I'm building my own hexacopter. Okay, that sounds interesting. I miss the days in a drone with a plane, not a multicopter. Ah. I'm just scrolling down here. I think I may be scrolling down too fast. Oh, it's just shot up. Oh no. Oh, the Jägermeister, absolutely. I'm just losing. It's because the comments are coming in. I was trying to find specific ones. I'll scroll over and look at them afterwards. 3 hours of comments. Oh, that's a joy. Mm. Medicinal. Someone needs to take a 3-inch drill bit. What's this about? Oh, dude. 3-inch. How do you keep your weight under control with all the Subway junk food? I lose weight when I'm in Subways because I choose the sort of healthier options at Subway. And I'm doing a lot of walking at that point in time as well. It's one of the healthier options. It's pretty good actually. There aren't any Isle of Man flights from Scotland anymore. Yes, there are. Not to Glasgow, but you can fly by Loganair to Edinburgh, and that's what I've been using recently before I got locked down. Bubby Blindy meet up. Oh, dude. Sip, sip, sip. I'm just going back. Shot o'clock Jaeger meaning. Spelt correctly with the little dots above the A. There's a name for that. It's rub for I can't remember what they're called. I would say I wouldn't recommend if we have a meetup on the Isle of Man. It would be it would at this point in time it would only be people on the Isle of Man because if you flew across it causes complications. You have to go straight into ice quarantine if you come to Isle of Man, so that can't really do that at the moment. Yudako Okadoi. Ramsey sounds good. Are you in the Isle of Man as well? It's surprising how many are in the Isle of Man. But I was thinking the cafe in Moorich Park because it's got a large seated covered area and it's quite nice. It's quite open. No fountains next at the moment because just at the point they were stripping the kids' water play area apart to actually resurface it. The whole pandemic happened and that all got stopped. Dulleth trading, that indeed for the quality workwear. Do you know wee John Poo Pong McPlop from Aberdeen? I don't know that, Chris Farland. Let's scroll down a bit and see. It would probably be on a Saturday, the Ramsey meetup if I did it. But well, maybe try and work this out. I'm not sure the best way to communicate about this to catch all the Isle of Man people. How much it took there from the mainland, it varies dramatically depending on how busy at TT time it's an awful lot. But other times it's not too bad, particularly if you get the ferry across. Someone's suggesting I could actually put the sort of BCDC in a different color or static LEDs in that, or spell text in some way, and then have the other LEDs flashing around it. When's the 24-hour stream? Oh, I don't think I'll do that. That would be my throat, lad. It struggles to do the 3 or 4 hour ones. Hmm. I'm so far away down the comments now. I'm going to have to go right back to the bottom of the comments now. Yeah, it's so far down. I'm going to actually go right to the bottom of the comments now. Ever had backlice? I'm not sure what that is. I'm not aware of having backlice. I've never heard of backlice. What the symptoms of that? An itchy back, I'd guess. Hmm. Honey is good for the throat, yes. Is it worth moving to the Isle of Man post-pandemic? I wouldn't recommend moving to the Isle of Man unless you can afford the Isle of Man because it's an expensive place to get a house. Have you endowed steering with a snag? Oh, yes, you could actually change the BCD so you could have it flash in down out. Where can I buy the board to build that green thing? Says Chris. You can download the file. I'll have to provide it. Maybe I'll put it in the description of this video, or maybe I'll just release it on my website. But you can download